Chapter 8:13. Boom. Behind the moon goddess, there seemed to be another full moon flying across the sky. It was like a mysterious world, suppressing the first saint. The first saint's palm landed on the full moon, and an extremely cold light actually spread out, instantly sealing the first saint in ice. This was the lunar divine light, a supreme killing technique of the lunar palace. It was extremely terrifying and could freeze everything. The moon goddess took the opportunity to draw the lunar ancient sword and slashed at the first saint. Moon goddess, this level of lunar divine light can't do anything to me. The first saint suddenly smiled faintly, and the ice around him shattered. The iron claw in his hand was like a cold light, clashing with the lunar ancient sword. Rumble. Suddenly, divine light burst out, and the sky shook violently. While the first saint and the moon goddess were fighting, on the other side, Nan Tianfeng also charged at the Phoenix Lady. Fairy Feng, is it? What's so good about that little bastard Ling Xiao? Follow me, and I promise you'll be 10,000 times better than following Ling Xiao. Nan Tianfeng's eyes were full of frivolity. He stared at the Phoenix Lady without hiding anything. It was as if a pair of hands grew out of his eyes, wanting to tear the Phoenix Lady's clothes to shreds. Shameless. The Phoenix Lady's eyes turned cold, and the phoenix tail flaming sky fan in her hand swept across the sky. Suddenly, a violent wind blew, and a scorching phoenix true fire spread out, as if it was going to swallow Nan Tianfeng. Fairy Feng, don't be so stubborn. When I catch you, you'll have a taste of my techniques. By then, it'll be difficult for you to die even if you want to. Nan Tianfeng sneered. His figure flashed, and like a ghost, he instantly dodged the phoenix tail flaming sky fan's power. The phoenix tail flaming sky fan was very powerful, and it was famous in the entire war god continent. Even Nan Tianfeng didn't dare to underestimate it, and he carefully dodged it. Whoosh! A thin black sword appeared in Nan Tianfeng's hand, emitting an extremely sharp light, and stabbed at the Phoenix Lady. Black light spread out around the Phoenix Lady, and the phoenix tail flaming sky fan buzzed. Instantly, a black phoenix rose into the sky, emitting a dark and scorching aura, and pounced at Nan Tianfeng. The battle between the two of them instantly broke out. With Yueshin and Phoenix Girl's interference, Long Zhantian, Lin Hui, and Li Jingming were able to buy some time. However, Long Zhantian was severely injured and was still very weak. Like Lin Hui and Li Jingming, he was only exhausted. At this moment, after swallowing a large number of elixirs, his aura began to gradually become stronger. Kill them! The experts from the Emperor Tomb Mountain and the Nantian family were very decisive. When they saw Lin Hui and Li Jingming's aura getting stronger and stronger, their eyes flashed with killing intent, and they all rushed towards them. Umph! A bunch of trash, let me play with you. A sharp glow flashed in Li Jingming's eyes, and then he instantly soared into the sky and slashed down with his palm. He was like an Azura god of blades that had descended to the world, and the terrifying glow of his blade instantly slashed apart a few Monarch Realm experts and transformed them into a mist of blood. Rumble! Lin Hui also waved his sleeve, and instantly, the true phoenix fire spread out and turned into a sea of fire. It directly swallowed over a dozen experts who couldn't dodge in time. They howled miserably in the sea of fire, and in the end, they were turned into ashes. When Ling Xiao arrived at the valley, he saw such a scene before him. That kid, Outyin, actually has such terrifying combat strength? He's at least an 8 extremities genius, right? Ling Xiao said with some surprise. Long Outyin was actually able to fight Ling Yu, who was at the 6th level of the Sovereign Realm. This made him extremely shocked. This kid's bloodline isn't simple. I'm afraid it's not as simple as the true dragon bloodline. It won't be long before it becomes a true divine dragon bloodline. The old goat took a deep look at Long Outyin and said, that white-robed middle-aged man is from the Spirit Tribe. How did the Spirit Tribe get together with the Emperor Tomb Mountain and the Nantian family? Ling Xiao frowned slightly. He felt an aura from Ling Yu that was almost exactly the same as Lingji. The 4 great tribes had inherited the orthodoxy of the 4 great divine generals. The cultivation techniques they practiced were actually different. Naturally, the aura of their cultivation was different as well. It was very easy to differentiate. Therefore, Ling Xiao could easily tell that Ling Yu was from the Spirit Tribe. What's so difficult about that? Why don't you just capture him and ask him? Leave that white-robed middle-aged man to me. Don't fight with me. The old goat chuckled as a strong fighting spirit appeared in his eyes. Whoosh! Without waiting for Ling Xiao to say anything, the old goat charged out. He turned into a black bolt of lightning and his speed was extremely fast. The blood qi around his body was monstrous and divine aura filled the air. The old goat's hooves seemed to contain the power of an immemorial mountain. Who's there? Ling Yu, who was fighting with Long Outyin, shouted as his expression changed. He wanted to dodge the old goat's attack. However, the old goat had already locked onto him. Ling Yu couldn't dodge the old goat's hooves at all. In the end, the old goat kicked him in the head. Crack! A crisp sound rang out. It was the sound of a skull breaking. Ling Yu let out a blood-curdling scream. She felt her head go black, and she almost fell to the ground. Rumble! The old goat was the ancestor of sneaky people. How could he give Ling Yu a chance to fight back? Moreover, the old goat's combat strength was stronger than Ling Yu's to begin with. The old goat kicked Ling Yu's head a few more times. The old goat kicked Ling Yu's head into his body. Then he exploded with a loud bang. The King Heaven Devourer cauldron flashed and suppressed Ling Yu's primordial spirit. Although the old goat's cultivation was only at the 3rd level of the Venerable Realm, with his combat strength, he could even fight against a 9th level of the Venerable Realm, let alone Ling Yu, who was merely at the 6th level of the Venerable Realm. Old goat, you bastard. This young master almost killed him. You've ruined this young master's good fortune. Long Outyin was stunned. When he saw the old goat kill Ling Yu so easily, he flew into a rage. Long Outyin had been waiting for a long time. He wanted to learn from Ling Xiao and kill a Supreme Realm expert. Now that he finally had the chance, and it was Ling Yu, who was at the 6th level of the Supreme Realm, the old goat beat him to it. That's enough, little brat. You want to kill a supreme being with your mediocre cultivation? Go home and drink your mother's milk. The old goat curled his lips. Wah wah wah. Old goat, I'm going to kill you. Long Outyin was so angry that he wanted to rush up and fight the old goat. Outyin, stop fooling around. The situation has changed. Go and save your brother. Ling Xiao appeared in the void and said slowly with a sharp glint in his eyes. All right. Long Outyin was surprised to see Ling Xiao. However, when he saw Ling Xiao's expression, his face turned serious. He immediately turned around and rushed towards Long Zhantian, and the other two. Ling Xiao's eyes flickered with a sharp light. He could already feel that there were several powerful auras rapidly approaching this place. Chapter 8:14. Kacha. The void trembled as 3 terrifying auras descended from the 9 heavens, exuding a vast supreme being's aura. Lingji. A sharp light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. Among the 3 terrifying figures, the leader was a woman dressed in palace attire. She looked to be in her 30s, with snow-white skin and a beautiful face. She had a mature charm. This woman was the tribe leader of the spirit tribe Lingji. She was a titled supreme being. Beside her were 2 elders in white robes. Their hair and beards were white and their faces were hale and hearty. Their eyes were filled with vicissitudes of life, and their auras were incomparably powerful. They were both 7th-level supreme beings. The arrival of the 3 supreme being experts instantly caused the void to freeze. When the old goat saw Lingji, a strange look appeared in his eyes. He immediately smiled, revealing a mouthful of sharp and white teeth. So it's tribe leader Lingji. May I know what brings you here? The old goat looked at Lingji indifferently. Lingji looked at the old goat and Ling Xiao with a strange look in her eyes. However, she still said indifferently, so it's the holy sage of the demon tribe. Your Highness, why did you kill Elder Ling Yu of the spirit tribe? Do you really think we're easy to bully? Rumble. Lingji waved his sleeve, and suddenly, a terrifying void domain shrouded the entire valley. This was the power of a titled supreme being's domain. Within the domain, a titled supreme being was an unparalleled existence. Even a supreme being would die without a doubt. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed sharply as he said, Tribe leader Lingji, what are you doing? Elder Ling Yu of the spirit tribe not only tried to assassinate our friend, but he also tried to kill the holy sage. He was extremely daring. If the holy sage killed him, he only has himself to blame. Could it be that tribe leader Lingji wants to stand up for him? The old goat sneered and said, Lingji, I respect you as the tribe leader of the spirit tribe. However, don't go overboard. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Lingji said indifferently, Your Highness, although you are the son of the demon sage, you do not have the right to kill an elder of the spirit tribe. I think that Your Highness must have been bewitched by these outsiders. These outsiders really deserve to die. I'll kill them today to prevent His Highness from being deceived. Lingji's eyes flashed with undisguised killing intent as he locked onto Ling Xiao, Long Outyin and the rest. Oh, looks like clan leader Lingji's target this time is me? What I don't understand is why clan leader Ling Yu would help the outsiders, the people of Emperor Tomb Mountain, and the Nantian family. Could it be that the spirit tribe has already betrayed the oath of the four main tribes and colluded with the outsiders? Ling Xiao narrowed his eyes, revealing a glimmer of light. How dare you? Outsider, don't make slanderous accusations. You're about to die, yet you still dare to frame the patriarch. I think you really won't shed tears until you see the coffin. A white-robed elder glared at Ling Xiao, his eyes revealing a chilling murderous intent. Slander? I don't think so. Elder Ling Yu helped outsiders to deal with my friend, but Elder Lingji kept saying that we outsiders had bewitched His Highness Saint. This kind of double standard, I'm afraid it's hard to believe. Clan leader Lingji, don't be so secretive. I think your target is not only us, but also Your Highness, right? Ling Xiao smiled faintly as he glanced at Lingji. Lingji looked deeply at Ling Xiao, then suddenly smiled faintly and said, Kid, you're very smart. But smart people often die very quickly. Do you think that you can escape from my hands with just the two of you? And Your Highness Holy Son, since you've killed Elder Ling Yu, pay with your life. Lingji's voice became incomparably cold as he spoke. Rumble. In the valley, Long Outyin had already captured the first saint in Nantian Fong. He had broken their limbs and looked very miserable. Clan leader Lingji, save us. Clan leader Lingji, kill Ling Xiao and these bastards. The Divine Sun doesn't want them to live. As long as you kill them, it'll be a great merit. The Divine Sun will definitely not forget you. When the first saint in Nantian Fong saw Lingji appear, their eyes were filled with excitement as they shouted at him. The Divine Sun? Are you talking about the successor of the War God Temple? I didn't expect that clan leader Lingji had already defected to the War God Temple and went back on his original oath. How sad. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he glanced at Lingji and sighed. Kid, you know too much, so you can all go to hell. Lingji's eyes turned cold, and a blazing killing intent spread out. Rumble. Heaven and earth trembled as a terrifying paragon's aura descended. It was as if heaven and earth were about to shatter. It was extremely terrifying. Lingji, you really defected to the War God Temple. Damn it. If the spiritual supremacy is still alive, he won't let you go. Murderous intent flashed in the old goat's eyes. Long Outyin also sneered and said, Cousin old goat, what's there to say to this old woman? She's old and ugly. No one would want her even if she was given away for free. How dare she act all high and mighty in front of me? Lingji's face turned gloomy. The words old woman seemed to have touched a sore spot in Lingji's heart. Her face turned ferocious as she glared at Long Outyin and said, Little bastard, let's see if you still dare to say that when I capture you later. Rumble. Lingji's body emitted a terrifying aura as she reached out to grab Long Outyin. Long Outyin, back off. Murderous intent flashed in the old goat's eyes as he pounced on Lingji. The demon divine scepter in his hand emitted a terrifying aura as it smashed down on Lingji. You're courting death. A cold light flashed in Lingji's eyes as she slammed her palm down. It was as if heaven and earth were about to shatter. It contained a destructive energy fluctuation as it collided with the demon divine scepter. The demon divine scepter shone brightly as dazzling runes spread out. It was as if there were divine Tao laws spreading out, piercing through the void and shattering all energy. Crack. The vault of heaven suddenly trembled and instantly shattered. Both Lingji and the old goat were shaken at the same time and retreated. No. This wasn't the power of a titled supreme martial artist. Lingji's true combat strength was at most at the 9th level of the supreme martial artist realm. But his cultivation had indeed reached the titled supreme martial artist realm. What was the reason? Could it be that the laws in the time cave are incomplete? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he realized that something was wrong. Ling Xiao was the #1 titled supremacy in the world in his previous life. Naturally, he was very familiar with the power of a titled supremacy. Ling Ji's combat strength was very strong, but it was far from the combat strength of a titled supremacy. At most, it was comparable to a 9th-level supreme stage expert on the War God continent. Chapter 8:15. Back when Ling Xiao killed the Heavenly Bat Demon Sovereign in Demon City, the Heavenly Bat Demon Sovereign was only in the 6th level of the supremacy stage. Back then, Ling Xiao had sensed that the Heavenly Bat Demon Sovereign was weak, but he didn't think too much of it. It wasn't until he saw the Lingji today that Ling Xiao suddenly realized that the Supremes of the Time Cave were weaker than the Supremes of the War God continent of the same realm. Ling Xiao guessed that it was because of the magical laws in the Time Cave. After all, if the magical laws in a small world weren't complete, it would be difficult to give birth to powerful god spirits. This was especially true for 9th-level supremacy stage experts. If they wanted to reach the great circle of the 10th-level supremacy stage, they would need the approval of the magical laws of heaven and earth. Therefore, there must be something wrong with the Time Cave. Rumble. The Demon Saint Scepter was a flawless divine weapon. It emitted a resplendent light and divine runes. It posed a great threat to the Lingji. The old goat used the Heaven-Devouring secret technique and the Heaven-Devourer cauldron to unleash terrifying battle prowess. Lingji was a little surprised by the old goat's strength, but she still used her powerful killing technique and fought fiercely with the old goat. You two kill them all. Lingji glanced at the 2 white-robed elders of the spirit tribe and ordered coldly. Yes, ma. The 2 white-robed elders' eyes flashed sharply as they charged toward Ling Xiao and the others. Cousin, we'll each take one. Let's see who gets rid of the other first. Long Outyan's eyes were filled with eagerness. Without waiting for Ling Xiao's response, he took the lead and charged forward. Rumble. Heaven and earth trembled as Long Outyan punched out. 2 10,000-meter-long true dragons formed behind him and pounced toward one of the white-robed elders. Little bastard, you're courting death. The white-robed old man's gaze turned cold. He did not expect that an 8 or 9-year-old child would dare to attack him. However, his heart was incomparably shaken. The strength of this little boy was too strong. He was like a divine beast cub. The terrifying strength of chi and blood caused his heart to tremble. The white-robed elder didn't dare to be careless. He punched out with the might of a supremacy stage expert. Rumble. It was as if a mountain was descending from the sky, exuding a majestic aura that wanted to suppress the 2 10,000-meter-long true dragons. Crack. Dragon roars shook the heavens and the earth trembled. 2 true dragons flashed across the sky. Golden lightning flashed across the sky. It was as thick as a mountain range. In an instant, it smashed the mountain into pieces and charged toward the white-robed elder. Long Outyan rushed forward at an extremely fast speed. He threw out a punch and the fist print was unparalleled. In an instant, he was beside the white-robed elder. He unleashed his unparalleled physical strength and attacked the white-robed elder. Although Long Outyan was arrogant and unforgiving, he knew that he was no match for the white-robed old man in front of him in terms of combat strength. However, Long Outyan's physical body was very strong. He had the power of the divine dragon bloodline in his body. As long as he attacked in close range, even the white-robed old man was no match for him. The white-robed elder had indeed been careless. He did not take Long Outyan seriously. As a result, he was caught off guard by Long Outyan's punch. He hurriedly blocked it with his palm. Boom. The space shook and the white-robed elder's face changed. After coming into contact with Long Outyan's fist print, he felt the terror of Long Outyan's physical body. The power of the fist print was as boundless as the waves of the sea. His palm instantly exploded and blood splattered everywhere. The white-robed elder knew that he was in trouble. He quickly retreated and tried to distance himself from Long Outyan. However, how could Long Outyan let go of this opportunity after he had succeeded in his attack? Swoosh! Long Outyan leaped and was as agile as a monkey. He turned into a ray of golden light and quickly closed in on the white-robed elder. He threw out a punch and the 1,000 dragons' god-slaying skill exploded. Roar! The dragon's roar shook the heavens. Two true dragons broke through the space and instantly coiled around the white-robed elder. Long Outyen's fist print was unparalleled, and it landed on the white-robed elder's head. "Old fart, I'll smash your head," Long Outyen shouted arrogantly. The white-robed elder was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. "This kid is too cunning. Who would have thought that he would have such a terrifying physical strength?" In the end, the white-robed elder was careless and suffered a great loss. He was at a disadvantage. "Little bastard, you're courting death." The other white-robed elder saw the fight between them and was furious. He wanted to attack Long Outyen together. Swoosh. Ling Zhao's body flashed, and he stood in front of the white-robed elder. "I'm your opponent," Ling Zhao said flatly with a sharp look in his eyes. "Kid, since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish." The white-robed elder's eyes flashed with killing intent. He saw that Ling Zhao, a half-stepped sovereign who had just passed the tribulation of 3 elephants, had dared to stand in his way. He immediately pointed his finger at Ling Zhao's glabella at lightning speed. Swoosh! Ling Zhao's eyes were dazzling as he threw out a palm blade. It was extremely fast and it contained a force that could destroy everything. Poof! There was a flash of blood as Ling Zhao's palm blade chopped off the white-robed elder's finger. "Kid, how could you?" The white-robed elder was shocked and his eyes were filled with disbelief. However, before he could finish his sentence, Ling Zhao charged at him again. Rumble! The 4 elephants' sky-striking style exploded. The 4 elephants' divine light shot up into the sky and turned into a terrifying fist print. It was dazzling with golden light, and it was extremely beautiful. It pressed down on the white-robed elder. The white-robed elder's gaze turned cold as he threw out a punch as well. The strength of a 7th-level supreme martial artist was completely unleashed. His fist seemed to have turned into a blazing divine light that was about to shatter Ling Zhao's punch. Bang! When the 2 fists collided, the primal chaos chi filled the air. The white-robed old man's arm immediately went numb, and he was sent flying. An unparalleled divine power entered his body, causing his internal organs to begin to churn. Die! Ling Zhao's eyes were filled with killing intent. The 5 elements' divine light shot up into the sky and turned into a vast boundary that sealed the surrounding void. At the same time, he threw out a punch and the 6 paths of reincarnation world rose up. The 7 limits divine skill of devouring heaven and earth was extremely dangerous, and they were all ultimate killing moves. As Ling Zhao's cultivation grew stronger, the terrifying power of this divine skill began to explode. When the 5-element sky sealing style was used, the power of law in the surrounding was sealed. The energy in the sky was sucked dry by Ling Zhao. The 6 paths of reincarnation world contained the power to crush everything. It blasted the white-robed elder's arms apart and landed heavily on his chest. Crack! Chapter 8:16. How is this possible? This is impossible. Brat, I'm going to kill you. The white-robed old man was about to go crazy. He was a level 7 Supreme Realm expert with unparalleled strength, but he was injured by Ling Zhao to this extent. Swoosh! An ancient silver war spear appeared in the white-robed old man's hand. Like a dragon emerging from the sea, it instantly pierced towards Ling Zhao. This was a powerful supreme weapon. Under the white-robed old man's control, it was simply indestructible. Clang! Ling Zhao's eyes were incomparably sharp. He actually used his palm to chop down on the silver battle spear, and a bright light burst out. The incomparably huge force shook the white-robed old man's arm until it was numb. Rumble! Around Ling Zhao, rays of bright light shot up into the sky. It was as if 7 bright stars had appeared in the sky, and they came crashing down on the white-robed old man. Break it! The white-robed old man shouted. His eyes were filled with anger, and the silver war spear instantly pierced through one of the stars. However, the 2nd star had also descended, and it possessed twice the terrifying power. Crack! The white-robed old man slashed his spear across the sky again. Although the 2nd star was shattered, his arm was still numb from the impact. Just like that, the stars came crashing down on the white-robed old man from the 9 heavens. They were like immemorial sacred mountains that suppressed the white-robed old man, not giving him any chance to breathe. They contained the unparalleled strength of level 7. The white-robed old man exploded with terrifying strength. He held his spear across the sky and shattered another 3 stars. However, when the 6th star came crashing down, it contained 6 times the strength of level 7. It directly knocked the white-robed old man's silver war spear out of his hand. The white-robed old man spat out a mouthful of blood, and his arms were trembling. The 7th star came crashing down. This time, the white-robed old man didn't have any strength to resist. He was instantly hit by the 7th star. Rumble. His physical body exploded. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere, and drops of Supreme Being blood fell. The ground was pierced through, and the terrifying power of law seemed to destroy everything. Even the valley below began to tremble. Buzz. In the void, a terrifying power of law of heaven and earth descended. Majestic energy gathered as if it was forming a new body. Boom. A sharp light flashed through Ling Xiao's eyes, and a terrifying punch tore through the air. 8 streaks of blazing light condensed on the punch, immediately blasting away the power of laws in the air. This was the 8 Desolation's ultimate style, capable of destroying everything in its path. His flesh, blood, and magical laws shattered, leaving behind only the white-robed old man's nascent divinity. Shrieking in terror, he tried to flee, but before he could, the King Heaven Devourer Cauldron grabbed him and crushed him. What? In the distance, the other white-robed elder who was fighting with Long Outyin saw this scene, and his eyes were filled with terror. Ling Xiao was able to defeat a 7th-level Supreme Realm expert in such a short time. Such terrifying combat strength was simply heaven-defying. That's a 7th-level Supreme Stage expert. He died just like that? Long Zhantian's eyes were filled with disbelief. He couldn't believe his eyes. After entering the Cavern of Time, he had separated from Ling Xiao. He had never imagined that Ling Xiao would reach such a level in such a short time. He killed a 7th-level Supreme Stage expert in such a short time. He must be at least an 8th-level Supreme Stage expert, right? He's only a half-step paragon with the tribulation of 3 mammoths. Is the War God continent going to have another 9-severing genius? Li Jingming sighed, exchanging a bitter smile with Lin Hui. Both of them couldn't hide the shock in their eyes. The Moon Goddess and Phoenix Maiden's eyes shone with a strange light. Although they were also shocked by Ling Xiao's strength, they had long since blindly believed in him. Even if Ling Xiao killed a titled paragon, they wouldn't be too surprised, let alone a 7th-level Supreme Stage expert. Whoosh! Ling Xiao's gaze landed on the other white-robed old man. In an instant he leaped into the air, exuding a monstrous killing intent. Cousin, you're stealing my limelight again. Long Outyin pulled a long face, but he also knew that he was no match for the white-robed elder. If Ling Xiao didn't make a move, he would be the one to lose. Cut the crap! Ling Xiao glared at Long Outyin, and immediately attacked without holding back. Rumble! The fist print was shocking, and the divine light was boundless. Ling Xiao used the 10,000 dragons god-slaying technique, and 49 true dragons came across the sky, exuding an incomparably violent power. The white-robed elder was already scared witless by Ling Xiao, and had lost all will to fight. How could he be a match for Ling Xiao now? The 10,000 dragons god-slaying art, and the 49 true dragons struck like lightning, instantly smashing the white-robed elder's body into pieces. Whoosh! The King Heaven Devourer Cauldron flashed and suppressed the white-robed elder's primordial spirit. Rumble! The battle between Lingji and the old goat was incomparably intense. The void around them shattered, and the sky shook. Bolts of lightning as thick as mountains streaked across the sky, as if they were going to turn everything into nothingness. The old goat's blood chi surged to the sky, and his body exuded terrifying fluctuations. The Demon Saint Scepter seemed to have been fully activated by the old goat, and it charged towards Lingji. Clang! Ganoderma struck out with his palm. Waves of supreme power filled the air, and slammed onto the Demon Saint Scepter. Suddenly, the Demon Saint Scepter trembled violently and runes exploded. Ganoderma was also sent flying by the divine power. What? Lingji also saw that the 2 7th-level Paragon Elders had died at Ling Xiao's hands, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. How long had it been, and 2 7th-level Paragon Elders were already dead? How did these outsiders have such terrifying talent? The First Holy Sun and Nan Tianfang were scared silly. They had been clamoring for revenge against Ling Xiao, but now they were filled with regret. Revenge against Ling Xiao? That was simply courting death. A mere half-step paragon with the tribulation of 3 mammoths had killed 2 7th-level paragons. That kind of battle prowess was terrifying to the extreme. You all deserve to die. Lingji's eyes were filled with monstrous killing intent, and a terrifying paragon's might erupted. Heaven and earth trembled, and the void shattered. The entire domain seemed to be filled with a terrifying killing intent. Rumble. It was as if a peerless goddess had appeared behind Lingji, and her palm landed lightly. Instantly, heaven and earth were turned upside down, and the world was plunged into eternal darkness. Old hag, do you think I'm afraid of you? The old goat laughed coldly. His body trembled, and he let out an ancient and mysterious roar. Rumble. Chapter 8:17. It was a ferocious beast with a height of 10,000 feet. Its whole body was covered with black scales that shone with a cold and sharp light. There was a pair of huge horns on its head that looked like dragon horns, emitting a dazzling black light. Its 4 limbs were like heavenly pillars. Its sharp claws were incomparably sharp, and there was a huge tail behind it that slowly swayed. Endless astral winds were blowing towards them. The ferocious beast was emitting a black light that looked like a huge vortex that was about to devour everything. Immemorial ferocious beast. Tao Tai, you are indeed the son of the demonic beast saint. Lingji's eyes revealed a trace of blazing sharpness. At this moment, the aura emitted by the old goat made her heart tremble. During the immemorial era, there were countless ferocious beasts that wreaked havoc in the world. However, there were 4 great ferocious beasts that were said to be able to kill the ancestral dragon and tear apart the true phoenix. The Tao Tai was one of the 4 immemorial ferocious beasts. It was rumored to be able to devour the heavens and earth. This was the true form of the old goat, the immemorial ferocious beast Tao Tai. Even Ling Xiao was seeing the old goat's true form for the second time. The first time was in the holy ground. Oh my god, cousin, is this the true form of the old goat? The immemorial ferocious beast Tao Tai is too majestic. Long Outyin opened his eyes wide, and his eyes were filled with excitement. Even Long Zhantian, Li Jingming and the rest were completely shocked. The first saint and Nan Tianfang were dumbfounded. It was rumored that the old goat that obtained the demonic beast saint's inheritance in the holy ground was actually the immemorial ferocious beast Tao Tai. It was like a dream. Old woman, I'm going to eat you. The old goat's blood-red eyes emitted a thunderous voice. He suddenly opened his mouth like a huge black hole, as if he was going to devour Lingji completely. Rumble. The heavens and earth trembled and endless astral winds filled the air. When the old goat opened his mouth, it was as if the entire world had fallen into darkness. That terrifying devouring force was unstoppable. Lingji's body trembled as if she was going to be sucked into the old goat's mouth by the devouring force. So what if you are the son of the demonic beast saint? Today you must die. A cold murderous intent flashed in Lingji's eyes as a terrifying supreme divine aura emanated from his body, blocking off the powerful devouring force. Boom. At the same time, a white ancient sword appeared in her hand and slashed towards the old goat. It was like a bright galaxy, extremely bright. Whoosh. The demon saint's scepter instantly flew towards the old goat and floated above his head. Rune lights sprinkled down and the old goat's aura instantly skyrocketed. The old goat opened its mouth and swallowed the resplendent sword light. Ah! Old hag, I'm the heaven-devouring great emperor who has reigned supreme for all eternity. Do you really think that you can kill me with that little trick of yours? How delusional. The old goat laughed arrogantly, causing the entire area to tremble violently. Whoosh! Whoosh! The Ganoderma attacked. Dazzling rays of light swept across the sky. Waves of sword energy swept across the heaven and earth, bursting with killing power. However, no matter what kind of attack it was all swallowed up by the old goat. Moreover, the devouring force was getting stronger and stronger. It actually pulled the Ganoderma towards the old goat's mouth. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. A cold glint flashed across Lingji's eyes, and an ancient scroll appeared in his hand. He slowly unfurled it, and mysterious ancient characters appeared in the sky. They were like dazzling stars, sprinkling down divine Tao laws. This is a god's decree? Ling Xiao was shocked. Although the god's decree in Lingji's hand wasn't as strong as the one in the War God Temple's successor's hand, it was still a genuine god's decree. Lingji, you actually have a god's decree from the War God Temple? You really betrayed the oath of the 4 major tribes and joined the War God Temple. You deserve to die. The old goat's eyes flashed with cold killing intent as he roared. Humph. The War God Temple is the orthodoxy of the War God Temple. Joining the War God Temple is the same as joining the War God Temple. How can I betray the 4 major tribes? It's you Chongshan and Maha who are stubborn and don't know what's good for them. They will die a violent death sooner or later. After Lingji saw that she was exposed, she directly admitted it and sneered. Rumble. The god's decree swept across the sky. The ancient words carried some kind of law fluctuation, and instantly imprisoned the demon saint's scepter above the old goat's head. The demon saint's scepter shone brightly and trembled violently. It wanted to shatter the god's decree, but couldn't break free. Lingji could see that although the old goat had transformed into his true form, most of his power came from the demon saint's scepter. Without the demon saint's scepter, the old goat's strength was no match for Lingji. Die. Lingji's eyes flashed with killing intent as the white ancient sword in her hand emitted millions of rays of light. It was like a resplendent Milky Way as it slashed towards the old goat. Rumble. The old goat moved. His Taotai body seemed to be the overlord of this world, and contained a terrifying power. The old goat's claws stretched across the sky and instantly crushed the sword chi in the sky. It clashed with the white ancient sword and a resplendent light exploded. Lingji's arm went numb, and she suddenly flew back. The god's decree? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed with divine light as he came across the sky. He activated the power of the wordless heavenly book, and wanted to break free from the god's decree. Buzz. Sure enough, after feeling the fluctuation of the wordless heavenly book, the god's decree began to tremble. The demon saint's scepter struggled violently, as if it wanted to break free from the seal. What? Kid, you're courting death. Lingji's eyes flashed with killing intent as she pounced towards Ling Xiao. The white ancient sword was aimed at Ling Zhao's forehead. Roar. Ling Zhao's body exuded a terrifying dragon aura as the dragon roared. His eyes shone with a sharp light as he struck out with his palm. Suddenly, 49 true dragons appeared in the sky and transformed into the Great Dragon Formation. Terrifying divine might filled the air and pressed down on the Lingji. Crack! The resplendent sword radiance collided with the 49 true dragons. Heaven and earth trembled as a terrifying divine light exploded. Lingji's sword radiance was too resplendent. Coupled with her titled Supreme Being realm, even Ling Zhao's 1,000 Dragons God-slaying technique could not block this sword radiance. Soon the formation formed by the 49 true dragons collapsed and exploded into a rain of light. However, with this momentary delay, Ling Zhao's hand came into contact with the god's decree. Buzz. Chapter 8:18. How is this possible? Ganoderma said, a look of disbelief in her eyes. That was a God spirit decree, filled with terrifying magical laws of the Tao of Gods. How could Ling Xiao just take it? I'm gonna eat you, you old hag. The old goat roared, causing the dome of heaven to tremble and godlight to erupt. As soon as the demon sage scepter broke free of the God spirit decree, it transformed into a stream of light that shot into the old goat. Ryuamble. The old goat's aura surged, and his cultivation base climbed from the 3rd division of the Paragon level all the way to the peak of the 9th division. He took a big gulp and black divine light surged. A terrifying devouring force instantly wrapped around the Ganoderma and swallowed it into the old goat's stomach. Ling Xiao, this old hag is too strong. Help me crush her. The old goat sent a message to Ling Xiao. Without any hesitation, Ling Xiao turned into a streak of light and shot into the old goat's stomach. The inside of the old goat's stomach was a boundless primal chaos world. It was filled with mists of primal chaos, filled with yin and yang energy. It was almost as if any living being who entered this place would be assimilated into the primal chaos. That said, Ganoderma was a titled paragon, and was so strong that not even the old goat's stomach could assimilate her. In fact, she might even break free from the inside. Therefore, as soon as the Ganoderma was devoured, the old goat sent her into the Heaven Devourer cauldron. Ruiyuumble. Within the primal chaos world was a three-legged, two-eared cauldron, ancient and mysterious, shining with dazzling five-colored light. Ganoderma was sealed within the Heaven Devourer cauldron, and above it was a demon sage scepter, which sent out streams of god chains filled with sealing power. You think you can trap me with a trifling cauldron? Break for me. Howling in rage, the Ganoderma struggled against the sealing power of the King Heaven Devourer cauldron in the hopes of escaping. If it were just the Heaven Devourer cauldron, Ganoderma might have been able to break free. But the demon sage scepter was a god item, and it was so powerful that not even Ganoderma could escape. The Heaven Devourer cauldron trembled as Ganoderma attacked it from the inside, causing dazzling magical symbols to fly out in all directions. Ling Xiao, let's refine this old woman together. I suspect that this old woman's true form is a supreme divine medicine. The old goat's voice entered Ling Xiao's mind with a hint of excitement. Transcendent divine medicine? Ling Xiao's eyes widened in disbelief. The divine medicine was restricted by the laws of heaven and earth, so it was impossible for it to cultivate into a human form. How could the original form of the Lingji be a divine medicine? That's right. Originally, I also thought that it was impossible for a godly medicine to transform into a human form. However, the old man's inheritance told me that the spirit sovereign of the four great godly generals was actually a godly medicine that had transformed into a human form. In the god realm, he was the legendary and incomparably powerful spirit clan. Once the spiritual medicine broke through the restrictions of the heavenly Tao law and transformed into a human form, it would possess the legendary born Taoism aptitude, and its cultivation speed would be extremely fast. However, it is very difficult for a spiritual medicine to transform into a human form. It is almost 1 in a million. Since this Lingji mushroom is from the spirit tribe, I think it is very likely that it is a spiritual medicine that has transformed into a human form. The old goat chuckled. Spirit herbs taking form? However, the three supreme beings who died at our hands just now were all humans. They weren't elixirs. Ling Xiao said slowly. That's right. Spirit herbs taking form is very difficult. That's why, in the spirit tribe, only this Lingji mushroom is a spiritual medicine. Most of the others are humans. No matter what, everything will be clear once we refine her. The old goat said. All right, Ling Xiao said, nodding. Eyes flashing, he sat down cross-legged in front of the Heaven Devourer cauldron and used his heaven-devouring secret magic to suppress the Lingji mushroom. I advise you to be good and let me go. Otherwise, the successor of the War God Temple won't let you off the hook. And Ling Xiao, you don't deserve to have that stone steel. If you don't hand it over, it won't just be the successor of the War God Temple who will hunt you down and kill you. The Lingji mushroom's voice echoed out from within the Heaven Devourer cauldron. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, and he chuckled coldly. So your true goal is my stone steel. A Lingji mushroom. I really don't know what the War God Temple promised you. But once I kill you, everything will be clear. Ryuambul. The Heaven Devourer cauldron shone with dazzling light as heaven-devouring flame surged out. Thanks to Demon Sage's scepter, the Lingji mushroom struggled but couldn't escape. The heaven-devouring flame was like a host of flaming true dragons as Ling Xiao sat cross-legged in front of the Heaven Devourer cauldron. Considering that the Lingji mushroom was a god medicine, Ling Xiao decided to use his pill concocting techniques to try and assimilate it. Whoosh! Whoosh! Dazzling light shone out of his hands as he performed a double-handed incantation gesture. Under his control, the heaven-devouring flame transformed into 9 flaming true dragons that shot toward the Lingji mushroom in the Heaven Devourer cauldron. It was the 9 dragons' toy with the pearl magic. Heaven-devouring flame was terrifying to begin with, and could devour anything and everything. But now that Ling Xiao was using it, it was 9 times as powerful as before. Damn it. Demon Sage's son Ling Xiao. How dare you try to kill me? The War God Temple won't let you off the hook. The Lingji mushroom shouted, drawing on the power of his cultivation base to fight back against the Heaven Devourer cauldron. Trapped in the Heaven Devourer cauldron, the Lingji mushroom was starting to panic. Although paragons could become one with heaven and man, and could unleash boundless power, the Heaven Devourer cauldron was cut off from the magical laws of heaven and earth, as well as millions upon millions of worlds. Therefore, the Lingji mushroom could only rely on her own power to fight back. If things continued like this, it was only a matter of time before Ling Xiao and the old goat completely assimilated her. Unfortunately, no matter what she said, the old goat and Ling Xiao pretended not to hear her. The old goat poured power into Ling Xiao, and then began devouring the quintessence energy of heaven and earth to help Ling Xiao suppress the Lingji mushroom. However, Ling Xiao wasn't in a rush. Instead, he used the 9 dragons toy with the pearl magic to slowly assimilate the Lingji mushroom. No, I can't let this go on. If you want me to die, then you're going to join me in the afterlife. A gleam of determination appeared in the Lingji mushroom's eyes. She could sense her power draining away. And if things kept going on like this, she wouldn't be able to fight back at all. Therefore, she decided to use a warding magic to take Ling Xiao and the old goat down with her. Ruiyuambul. Chapter 819. You want to self-detonate? Unfortunately, you won't have that chance in the Heaven Devourer cauldron. Eyes flashing, Ling Xiao summoned the wordless heavenly tome, which pulsed with mysterious fluctuations that seemed to contain the profundities of the Tao of Heaven. In the blink of an eye, it entered the King Heaven Devourer cauldron. The wordless heavenly tome was incredibly powerful when it came to sealing the power of the nascent divinity. The Ganoderma was sealed in the King Heaven Devourer cauldron, backed by the Demon Sage Scepter and the Wordless Heavenly Sutra, and was now unleashing terrifying power. Lingji's nascent divinity was sealed, making it impossible for her to summon even a scrap of nascent divinity power. The Wordless Heavenly Tome? That's the legendary Wordless Heavenly Tome? How could you possibly have that treasure? That's a precious treasure of the exalted war god. How could you have it? Ganoderma began to scream. Her eyes were filled with terror. How do you know that the wordless heavenly tome belongs to the exalted war god? Ling Xiao asked, his eyes flashing. How sad. And here I thought the successor of the war god temple would have the highest chance of inheriting the exalted war god's legacy. As it turns out, the wordless heavenly tome is already in your hands. It seems the exalted war god has long since chosen a successor. Unfortunately, you're still going to die, Ling Xiao. You have no idea how strong the war god temple is. You have no idea how strong the war god is. Even if the war god Scarlet Dragon came back to life, he wouldn't be a match for the war god. You're dead. There was a trace of madness in Lingji's voice as he laughed out loud. Ling Xiao's eyes glittered as he realized that Lingji really did have a lot of secrets. Most likely, she was a god general or a Dharmaraja from the war god temple. Which divine general of the war god temple are you? Ling Xiao asked coldly. There's no harm in telling you. I'm divine general Lingji, the second of the 18 divine generals. Above me are the 4 great guardian kings, the left and right celestial masters, and the supreme god of war. Ling Xiao, you're dead meat. Lingji glared at Ling Xiao viciously. God General Lingji? Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. Drawing on all the power he could muster, he began to assimilate Lingji. Just as he had expected, the tribe leader of the Lingji tribe was one of the 18 divine generals of the war god temple. Who was the first immortal general? Could it be the mysterious time general? In Ling Zhao's mind, a white figure shrouded in light appeared. Rumble. No matter what Lingji said, Ling Xiao and the old goat ignored him. The true devouring flame burned fiercely. The wordless heavenly book and the demonic saint scepter restrained Lingji's power. This refinement lasted for more than a month. After all, Lingji was already a titled supreme being. Even if his combat strength was only at the 9th level supreme being realm, it was still extremely terrifying. If it wasn't for the suppression of the demon saint scepter and the wordless heavenly book, Ling Xiao and the old goat wouldn't have been able to defeat Lingji. In the end, the King Heaven Devourer cauldron exploded with a fragrant aroma, flames and dazzling light. All that was left was a Lingji mushroom that was crimson red like blood. It looked sparkling, translucent, and dazzling. It emitted a dense fluctuation of divinity. It's really a divine herb. It's just a quasi-divine medicine. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he spoke slowly. Who could have guessed that 100,000-year-old blood Lingji would actually be able to take human form and cultivate to such a level? Ling Xiao examined the Lingji mushroom's nascent divinity and confirmed that it was gone. The 18 divine generals of the War God Temple all had powerful warding spells in their nascent divinities. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to soul search them, and they would self-destruct. Ling Xiao speculated that this was something left behind by the mysterious war god. Lingji's nascent divinity contained countless secrets. Unfortunately, Ling Xiao couldn't see them. Ling Xiao left the old goat's belly world. Outside, the moon goddess, Phoenix Maiden, Dragon Proud Heaven, Dragon Zhantian Li Jingming, and Lin Hui were all waiting. Thankfully, the old goat had informed them beforehand, so they weren't too worried. Apart from these people, Ling Xiao also saw Taoist Wuliang and Yuanwan. Taoist Wuliang was still a half-step honorable supreme with the tribulation of 4 divisions. Yuanwan, on the other hand, seemed to have obtained some great opportunity to break through to the tribulation of 3 divisions. Everyone's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Ling Xiao, you and the old goat are amazing. You actually refined a titled supreme to death. If this were to spread to the War God continent, your fame would overshadow the successor of the War God Temple, and you'd be number 1 on the Green Cloud leaderboard. Taoist Wuyang's eyes were filled with amazement. He was also very happy to see the old goat here. These 2 henchmen were together again. So what if he's a titled supreme? Even if a god comes, I can kill him. Taoist Wuyang, you're living quite comfortably these days. You actually kidnapped the 9th princess of the ancient kingdom of Azure Dragon? The old goat widened his eyes and looked at Taoist Wuliang and Yuanwan in disbelief. Don't be so cocky. Ling Xiao already told me that the magical laws of heaven and earth in the Time Moon Grotto are flawed. Titled paragons only have battle prowess in the 9th level of the supremacy realm. If your old man had left you this demon sage scepter, how could you have done that? Taoist Wuliang chuckled, exposing the old goat's lie. The old goat wasn't angry. Instead, he smiled proudly. So what if I'm in the 9th level of the supremacy realm? If you're so good, go ahead and kill a 9th level supremacy realm expert for me to see. Alright, stop fooling around. That Lingji clan leader's true form is 100,000-year-old quasi-godly medicine, Blood Lingji. Today, I'll let everyone have a taste of it. Ling Xiao said with a smile. Everyone was gathered together, and none of them had suffered any injuries. Ling Xiao was very happy to see that. 100,000-year-old Blood Lingji? Taoist Wuliang and Dragon Proud Heaven's eyes lit up. Ling Xiao smiled and pulled out the Heaven Devourer cauldron. The 100,000-year-old Blood Lingji was fully 300 meters tall, dazzling and translucent, and emanated blood-colored light and a fragrant aroma. Next, Ling Xiao pulled out a 3,000-meter-long black python, which was a demon sovereign that Ling Xiao had killed earlier. Dragon Proud Heaven, the old goat, and the others all offered up the corpses of powerful beasts. Then they cleaned the corpses and put them together with the Blood Lingji, which Ling Xiao then used the Heaven Devourer cauldron to make a perfect tonic soup. The Heaven Devourer cauldron shone with scintillating light and true heaven-devouring flame. Before long, a fragrant aroma began to waft out of the cauldron. The Heaven Devourer cauldron contained snake meat, bear paws, a 10,000-year-old lobster spirit, and a demon sovereign devil cow. They were all mixed together in a stew, causing a fragrant aroma to spread out. The meat was translucent and sparkling, and pulsed with dazzling light. It was almost as if Taoist Wuliang were performing a magic trick, as he pulled out jars of fine wine. According to Yuanwan, Taoist Wuliang had stolen some monkey-like demonlings to brew the wine. In the end, the demonlings had been so enraged that they had nearly destroyed the entire mountain range. Of course, the wine was pure and fragrant, and was sparkling and translucent, leaving a lingering fragrance in the mouth. Furthermore, it was filled with the quintessence of spirit medicines, causing everyone's eyes to shine. It didn't take long for everyone to start toasting each other. It was a joyous and harmonious atmosphere. Chapter 820. The potency of the all-aspect nourishment soup was even more terrifying than the supreme elixir. Even a primordial expert would benefit from it. The most important thing was not the powerful beast meat, but the 100,000-year-old Blood Lingji. Although the primordial spirit of the Lingji clan leader was shattered, the potency of his potency was completely preserved. he was able to cultivate to the level of a titled primordial. Although he was limited by his talent, and was only a quasi-divine elixir, the potency of his potency was not inferior to a divine elixir. It was equivalent to everyone consuming a divine elixir. Long Outyin scooped a bowl of the all-aspect nourishment soup, and gulped it down impatiently. Awesome! Long Outyin's big eyes were sparkling with joy. He even revealed 2 small canine teeth, and looked very childish. However, he could not smile after that. Boom! A majestic energy exploded within Long Outyin's body. Suddenly, his entire body was covered in a multicolored light. It was as if he was burning with flames. This all-aspect nourishment soup is too powerful. Long Outyin opened his mouth and spat out a red mist. This was the essence of a quasi-divine elixir. Long Outyin was so frightened that he immediately shut his mouth and jumped up and down to suppress the potency of his potency. Everyone laughed when they saw Long Outyin's comical appearance. However, with Long Outyin as an example, everyone drank the all-aspect nourishment soup in small mouthfuls. Then they circulated their cultivation and began to refine it. The power of a quasi-divine elixir could not only increase one's life force, but also save them decades of cultivation. In the end, more than half of the all-aspect nourishment soup entered Ling Xiao and the old goat's stomach. The others only drank 1 or 2 bowls. The potency of the soup was so strong that everyone could not bear it. Ling Xiao had already reached the tribulation of 3 symbols, formed the 3 flowers above his head, and swallowed so much of the all-aspect nourishment soup. His internal organs and meridians had all become transparent, and his entire body had become one. It wouldn't be long before he would be able to pass the tribulation of 4 symbols. Everyone drank and chatted as they recounted what had happened in the time cave. Ling Xiao's current combat strength shocked everyone. This was already comparable to the power of Duguqiubai, the sword demon of ancient times. A 9 extremities genius could be said to be a peerless genius that only appeared once in a million years. Everyone felt that it was unreal. Ling Xiao, there's something I think you should know. After half a round of wine, Taoist Wuliang secretly transmitted his voice to Ling Xiao. Oh, what is it? Ling Xiao was also a little confused. Taoist Wuliang had a rare serious expression on his face. Furthermore, he had told Ling Xiao behind everyone's back. It could be seen that the matter was not simple. I think you should make a trip to the spirit tribe and see the spiritual sovereign statue, Taoist Wuliang said. The statue of a spiritual venerable? Is there anything special? Ling Xiao asked. That's right, it's very special to you. In short, you should go and take a look. Taoist Wuliang wanted to say something but hesitated. Then he sighed and said, all right. Ling Xiao's eyes glowed as he nodded his head. Ling Xiao asked the old goat to bring everyone back to the demon city. He and Taoist Wuliang broke through the void and headed towards the spirit tribe. The spirit tribe was in an ancient forest. It was a huge city built from heavenly wood. It was surrounded by towering ancient trees, ancient vines and precious herbs. It was brimming with a natural aura. Ling Xiao and the old goat could see a few innocent children playing outside the spirit tribe. They looked very happy. Not knowing why, after arriving here, Ling Xiao suddenly had a very familiar feeling. The statue is in the spirit tribe. It's right there. You should be able to see it from here. Taoist Wuliang pointed to the center of the spirit tribe and sighed softly. Although they were thousands of miles away from the spirit tribe, with Ling Xiao's powerful senses, he could naturally see the spiritual sovereign statue in the center of the spirit tribe. The moment Ling Xiao saw the spiritual sovereign statue, his body suddenly trembled violently. His eyes were filled with disbelief. In the center of the spirit tribe, the huge spiritual sovereign statue was a woman in a red dress. She looked beautiful and peerless, like a goddess from the 9 heavens. Her entire body exuded an extraordinary aura. She held an ancient sword in her hand and pointed it into the distance. Sword chi gathered around her, growing and multiplying endlessly. Her eyes were deep and bright as she looked into the distance. The appearance of the spiritual sovereign was exactly the same as the Jinsei in Ling Xiao's memory. Could it be that Jinsei was the reincarnation of the spiritual sovereign? Or was she just like the moon goddess? Was Jinsei just a trace of the spiritual sovereign's consciousness, and would eventually return to the original body, and be completely annihilated? At the thought of this, a huge fear descended, causing Ling Xiao to tremble uncontrollably. Impossible. Impossible. How could Jin Se be a spiritual sovereign? Definitely not. It's just that their appearances are too similar. But they are definitely not the same person. Ling Xiao muttered to himself, trying his best to convince himself. Ling Xiao, I also hope that Jin Se isn't a spiritual sovereign, but this is too much of a coincidence. I also saw the spiritual sovereign's statue by chance, but the spiritual sovereign's aura is too similar to Jin Se's. No matter what, I feel that I should tell you this. Taoist Wuliang sighed softly and looked at Ling Xiao as he spoke. He knew Ling Xiao's feelings for Jin Se, and naturally understood Ling Xiao's fear and unease. When Ling Xiao found out that the moon goddess could be a trace of the moon goddess consciousness, he felt pity for her, and wanted to help the moon goddess escape this fate. However, at this moment, seeing the spiritual sovereign statue that looked exactly like Jin Se, Ling Xiao's heart was filled with immense fear. It was the fear of losing the person he loved, and he wanted to hold on to her tightly. No matter what, Jin Se is Jin Se. Even a spiritual sovereign can't take away my Jin Se. I'll kill anyone who dares to take away Jin Se. If gods block my path, I'll kill gods and demons. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a peerless sharpness. He clenched his fists so tightly that his fingernails dug into his palms without him noticing. Ling Xiao suddenly remembered that he had discovered Jin Se's whereabouts in the Origin Sea. He was certain that Jin Se was in the Origin Sea. However, was that Jin Se still the Jin Se in his memories? At the thought of this, a huge sense of fear enveloped his entire being. I remember Yu Chongshan saying that the Flowing Time Temple is the place where the Scarlet Dragon War God looks for his successor. As long as I become the successor of the Scarlet Dragon War God, I'll be able to find a way to save the Moon Goddess and preserve her original consciousness. In this Heaven's Choice Convention, I must walk to the end. I'll kill anyone who dares to stop me. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with a blazing murderous intent. He had originally planned to hide his strength and look for the War God Temple's conspiracy during the Heaven's Choice Convention. However, he couldn't care less now. He must walk to the end, become the Heaven's Chosen One, and obtain the Scarlet Dragon War God's inheritance. He must break through as soon as possible and go to the Origin Sea to save Jin Se. I believe in you. I also believe in Jin Se. She'll definitely be able to hold on until you find her. Taoist Wuliang sighed softly and patted Ling Xiao's shoulder. In the end, Ling Xiao and Taoist Wuliang quietly left and didn't enter Spirit City. The Heaven's Choice Convention was about to begin. Chapter 8:21. Ling Xiao and Taoist Wuliang returned to Demon City. In Demon City, Ling Xiao met Yu Chongshan and Maha. It turned out that Ling Ji had joined the War God Temple. The old goat had already sent people to inform the two tribes, so Yu Chongshan and Maha were alarmed. However, they all fell silent when they saw Divine General Ling Ji's token among Ling Ji's personal treasures. I didn't expect Ling Ji to join the War God Temple. Doesn't she know that the War God Temple is just a group of shameless thieves? How can she face Lord Spirit Sovereign and Lord War God? Yu Chongshan seemed to have aged a few years as he sighed softly. He usually had the best relationship with Ling Ji, and always took care of her like a sister. But he didn't expect Ling Ji to be the War God Temple's Divine General Ling Ji. She didn't even hesitate to set up a trap to kill Ling Xiao. The First Holy Sun and Nan Tianfang had already confessed that the two of them had joined the War God Temple's successor. They besieged Long Zhantian and the other two in hopes of luring Ling Xiao out. In the end, they went for wool and came home shorn, becoming prisoners instead. Ba, there's nothing we can do about it. After all, millions of years have passed. Anything can happen. I didn't expect the War God Temple's tentacles to extend to our 4 tribes. It looks like we'll really have to meet the War God Temple in this Heaven's Choice Convention. Maha's eyes also revealed a trace of light. He looked like an ascetic monk with a buzz cut, gray robes and a solemn face. His entire body exuded a devout Buddhist nature. Compared to Maha, the monks of Mingwang Temple were more like external demons, while Maha was the true senior monk. That's right. I have a premonition that the War God's successor might really appear in this Heaven's Choice Convention. We have to be careful. If not for the Flowing Time Temple, the War God Temple would have already killed their way into the Flowing Time Cave. Yu Chongshan slowly said. In the end, Yu Chongshan and Maha both decided to lead the powerhouses of the three tribes to the Flowing Time Temple. The three monster venerables of the monster tribe all set out, and the army marched towards the Flowing Time Temple. In order not to alert the enemy, Ling Xiao and the old mountain goat decided to wait outside the Flowing Time Temple and act according to the situation. Ling Xiao, the old goat, and the others entered the Flowing Time Temple to participate in the heavenly selection meeting. Crack. Under the lead of the 5 titled supremes, Ling Xiao and the others were brought to the Flowing Time Shrine. 3 days later, the group crossed several million kilometers and arrived at the Flowing Time Temple. Only Ling Xiao, the old goat, and the others walked towards the Flowing Time Temple. The Flowing Time Divine Temple was located on a vast expanse of land. It was a huge bronze temple that was filled with chaotic mist. Dazzling divine light filled the air, and it gave off an ancient and boundless aura. The Flowing Time Divine Temple looked like an immemorial divine mountain, gigantic and majestic. It lay dormant on the ground, emitting an aura that made people tremble in fear. Is that the Flowing Time Temple? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He had seen this ancient bronze temple more than once. In the 8 Desolates region, in the primitive ancient mine, Ling Xiao had seen similar bronze temples. These bronze temples seemed to contain countless secrets from the ancient times, waiting for people to come and explore them. Yes, this is the Flowing Time Temple. It contains the inheritance of the Scarlet Dragon War God. But what I didn't expect is that the guardian of the Flowing Time Temple, the Time General, should be on the side of the 4 great tribes. Why did he side with the War God Temple? Why would he help the War God Temple to hold the heavenly selection meeting every 1,000 years? The old goat looked at the Flowing Time Temple and said doubtfully, I'm afraid only the Time General knows about this. Ling Xiao said slowly. He remembered that the Time General had killed the Impermanence General and Shura General. He felt that the Time General and the War God Temple were definitely not on the same side. But why would they side with him? Why would the War God Temple trust him so much? Ling Xiao couldn't guess the secret behind it. The group slowly walked towards the Flowing Time Temple. When Ling Xiao and the others arrived at the Flowing Time Temple, the successor of the War God Temple suddenly opened his eyes in a mysterious mountain range. His gaze revealed a sharp glint. What a piece of trash! Divine General Lingji can't even deal with Ling Xiao. It seems that the other 3 tribes are behind this. Could it be that the other 3 tribes really found out about Divine General Lingji's identity? The successor of the War God Temple exuded an incomparably terrifying aura. Chaotic light shot out from his eyes, mysterious and majestic. It seems that the situation has changed. Since the other 3 tribes aren't obedient, there's no need for them to exist. In this heavenly selection meeting, I will definitely walk to the end and become the true successor of the Scarlet Dragon War God. The successor of the War God Temple muttered to himself. He flicked his finger and a ray of light broke through the void and flew into an unknown space. He slowly stood up. A terrifying aura spread out from his body, causing the world around him to tremble violently. Kacha! The void in front of him instantly broke open. The successor of the War God Temple stepped into it and disappeared from the mountain range. In an ancient cave, a spirit spring gushed out and bright flowers bloomed. The surrounding glass emitted a gorgeous light. In the center of the cave, a young man in purple robes suddenly opened his eyes. 2 rays of purple light pierced through the void, majestic and mysterious. My purple firmament infinite heavenly sovereign sutra has finally reached perfection. Azure Emperor, this time I will definitely kill you. The young man in purple robes stood out. He was the eldest disciple of the Kunlun Mountain, Duan Wuji. He took a step forward and instantly disappeared from the cave. In the depths of the Flowing Time Cave, in an ancient palace. The palace emitted a resplendent scarlet light. Blazing flames rose around it. It was as if it was the residence of the sun god, mysterious and ancient. Zhao Ritian stood up from the throne in the palace. His golden robes flowed with a resplendent luster. His black hair fluttered in the wind. His eyes were like lightning. His tall and handsome figure looked extremely perfect. However, his face was filled with pride and arrogance. Second Master, My Sun Destroyer Sutra has finally reached perfection. Together with my Sun Godsword, I can even kill a 6th level Supreme Stage powerhouse with a single slash. Now I can finally fight with Ling Xiao, right? Zhao Ritian's eyes revealed a hint of eagerness. Chapter 822. That's good. Second uncle, can I really get the Scarlet Dragon War God's inheritance this time? Didn't you say that the Scarlet Dragon War God's wordless heavenly book is in Ling Xiao's hands? That kid is really lucky. Zhao Ritian's eyes were filled with jealousy at the mention of Ling Xiao. Second uncle smiled faintly and said, "Don't worry, even with the wordless heavenly book, you won't necessarily get the Scarlet Dragon War God's inheritance. I'm very familiar with the Scarlet Dragon War God, so the inheritance will definitely be yours." Good. Ha ha ha. Second uncle, when I, Zhao Ritian, obtain the inheritance of the Scarlet Dragon War God, I will go and flip over the bullshit War God shrine. Those shameless bastards. I, Zhao Ritian, am the only inheritor of the Scarlet Dragon War God. Zhao Ritian laughed out loud as he mounted the void golden-eyed beast and left the palace. On a cliff where the sea of clouds was churning. The sea of clouds filled the surroundings, and the scenery was extremely beautiful. Streams of mist filled the air, surrounding a white-clothed young man, and all kinds of strange scenes appeared. The young man in white suddenly opened his eyes, and suddenly, an unparalleled sharp sword essence rushed into the sky, shattering the surrounding sea of clouds. The surrounding vegetation, rocks, flowers, birds, insects, and fish seemed to be stained with the sword essence, moving forward with an unparalleled sharpness. Is the Chosen One finally about to begin? The successor of the War God Temple, Buddha Kasayapa, Emperor Qing, and Ling Xiao. This time, I will defeat all of you. The young man in white stood up, and his eyes were like two peerless swords. He was Jian Wushuang, who had comprehended the Tao here for a year, and finally began to emit a peerless sharpness. Rumble. Throughout the entire time cave, powerful geniuses opened their eyes and looked at the distant time temple. Everyone set off, turning into rays of divine light, and shot towards the time temple. In the time cave, many people had obtained supreme opportunities, and each of them was in high spirits, wanting to take the lead in the Chosen One, and strive to become a supreme master in one go. The huge time temple was like an archean ferocious beast, entrenched on the ground. In front of the time temple was a white jade square, filled with chaotic mist and bright light, like a fairyland. The gate of the flowing time temple was still closed. It wasn't time to open yet. When Ling Xiao, the old goat, and the others arrived at the white jade square, they realized that many geniuses had already arrived. Many people looked at Ling Xiao with awe and respect in their eyes. The news that the Ziwei Starchild and the heaven-scorching demon emperor had died at Ling Xiao's hands had already spread. Many people even guessed that Ling Xiao had the combat strength to be ranked in the top 5 of the Ascension rankings. Therefore, his arrival caused quite a commotion. Many people consciously dispersed and watched as Ling Xiao walked into the white jade square. "Big brother Ling." At this moment, a pleasantly surprised voice sounded. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he saw 3 figures running over from afar. 2 of them were burly men who looked very simple and honest. The last one was a proud young man in white robes who held a silver spear in his hand. They were actually Xiong Xiaohe, Hu Zi, and Ma Junjie. Ling Xiao didn't expect that the 3 of them would also come to the time cave. Furthermore, by the looks of it, the 3 of them had obtained quite a bit of benefits as well. To think that they had all broken through to half utmost exalted. Xiong Xiaohe Huzi Ma Junjie, why are you 3 here so early? Do you know when the time shrine will open? Ling Xiao glanced at the 3 of them and asked. Hee, big brother Ling, after we entered the time cave, we have been training along the way. Although we encountered quite a bit of danger, we still managed to arrive here safely. We arrived a month ago. At that time, the Time Divine General appeared once. It seems that the Time Shrine will open in a day or 2. At that time, the Heavenly God Assembly will officially begin. Xiong Xiaohe said as he looked at Ling Xiao with admiration. Big brother Ling, you're really amazing. We heard that the Ziwei Starchild and the heaven-scorching demon emperor died at your hands. Is that true? Huzi asked in a muffled voice. Of course it's true. Let me tell you. The Ziwei Starchild has already been killed by my cousin. As for the heaven-scorching demon emperor, he has already willingly become my cousin's mount. That's a fire qilin, it's too impressive. I'll show you later. Long Outyin jumped out and said with a smug smile. Previously, Ling Xiao had already shown him the heaven-scorching demon emperor, who had turned into a fire qilin. He also told Long Outyin that after he tamed the fire qilin, he would become Long Outyin's mount. Therefore Long Outyin was very excited and smug. A pure-blooded divine beast fire qilin as a mount. That was a treatment that only the ancient heavenly emperors had. What? The heaven-scorching demon emperor has become Big Brother Ling's mount? That's too amazing. Big Brother Ling, I admire you so much. You will definitely be the chosen one in this heavenly choice assembly. I think that even the successor of the War God Temple and Buddha Kasayapa will not be Big Brother Ling's match. Ma Junjie also said with a look of admiration and excitement. What's there to be proud of? The Ziwei Starchild is just a person with an undeserved reputation. The heaven-scorching demon emperor is a piece of trash that fell from the Azure Sky ranking. How can they compare to my eldest senior brother? With Ling Zhao's strength, I'm afraid that he won't even last 3 moves against my eldest senior brother. Suddenly, an ear-piercing voice rang out. Hu, Xiong Xiaohe Hu Zi, and Ma Junjie were furious. When they turned around, they were stunned. Kunlun Mountain's Duan Wuji was slowly walking towards Ling Xiao under the protection of a group of disciples wearing purple robes and carrying long swords on their backs. Duan Wuji was wearing a purple robe. He was tall and slender, and his black hair was draped over his shoulders. His face was incomparably handsome, and he held the draining spring divine spear in his hand. His entire body exuded an incomparably powerful aura. There was a faint smile at the corner of his mouth. Although he looked very gentle, there was a kind of arrogance in his bones. I was wondering who was spouting nonsense here. So it's Duan Wuji who was beaten to a pulp by Emperor Qing? Emperor Qing and my cousin are good friends. They both said that my cousin's strength is not inferior to his. You can't even beat Emperor Qing. What right do you have to be arrogant here? Long Outyin looked at Duan Wuji and sneered. Little brat, do you want to die? Eldest senior brother doesn't want to lower himself to your level, but do you believe that I won't kill you? The half-step Supreme Kunlun Mountain disciple beside Duan Wuji walked out and pointed at Long Outyin coldly. Want to die? Ha ha ha, are you talking about me? Why don't the two of us exchange pointers? As long as you can withstand one of my punches, I'll do whatever you want me to do. How about it? Chapter 8:23. Long Zhantian and the others looked at Ling Xiao strangely. This guy dared to look down on Long Outyin? After all, Long Outyin was a monster who could fight against a 6th-layer Supreme Realm expert. Was this guy tired of living? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He didn't seem to have offended Duan Wuji, so why was Duan Wuji so hostile towards him? But when he saw the way Duan Wuji looked at the moon goddess, he immediately understood. Duan Wuji looked at the moon goddess with eyes full of adoration. He walked in front of the moon goddess as if no one else was around and smiled. Miss Moon Goddess, we meet again? The Chosen One conference will be filled with danger. Miss Moon Goddess, please come with me. I will protect you. Don't mix with random people. That's beneath your dignity. Bastard with the surname Duan, who's the messy person here? Tell me clearly. You look like a dog, but why are you so blind? Long Outyin stood between Duan Wuji and the moon goddess, giving Duan Wuji a sidelong glance. Being scolded by a brat over and over again. Even Duan Wuji couldn't maintain his composure. He said coldly, which family's little bastard doesn't know the rules? If the Lord isn't here, I don't mind disciplining him for you. Bastard, who are you scolding? The 3 words little bastard were enough to scold the entire dragon clan. Long Zhantian's eyes flashed with anger. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He looked at Duan Wuji and said, try scolding me again. The old goat looked at Duan Wuji with schadenfreude. He knew that Duan Wuji was going to suffer. The calmer Ling Xiao was, the angrier he was. I called him a little bastard. What can you do about it? Duan Wuji looked at Ling Xiao provocatively and said indifferently, boom. A terrifying aura exploded from Ling Xiao's body. He instantly struck out with his palm. A powerful dragon's aura filled the air as his palm flew towards Duan Wuji's face. You dare. Duan Wuji's eyes turned cold. He hadn't thought that Ling Xiao would attack him directly. Suddenly, the divine spring spear in his hand emitted a terrifying aura as it pierced towards Ling Xiao's hand. The draining spring divine spear was a famous supreme weapon of the Kunlun Mountains. Its power was unparalleled. If Ling Xiao was so careless, Duan Wuji had no doubt that the draining spring divine spear would pierce through Ling Xiao's palm. Boom. Ling Xiao didn't even try to dodge. He directly slapped the divine spear, and an incomparably terrifying power erupted. The divine spear shone with resplendent light as runes exploded. Duan Wuji felt his arm go numb, and the divine spear almost flew out of his hand. In the next moment, a clear voice sounded. Pa. Ling Xiao slapped Duan Wuji in the face and sent him flying. Half of his face was swollen. Ling Xiao hadn't used his full strength in that strike. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been as simple as half of Duan Wuji's face being swollen. Half of Duan Wuji's head would have been blown off by Ling Xiao. Besides, Ling Xiao's hand contained some godly strength which condensed on Duan Wuji's face. Duan Wuji's face was swollen and couldn't recover. Everyone was dumbfounded. The scene was dead silent. Everyone's eyes were filled with disbelief. Ling Xiao had sent Duan Wuji flying with a single slap? Duan Wuji was a peerless powerhouse who ranked 5th on the master list. Even Emperor Qing had only defeated Duan Wuji after a few dozen moves. When did Ling Xiao's battle strength become so terrifying? Ah! Well done. Cousin, beat this son of a bitch to death. How dare he show off in front of me, Long Outyan. Why don't you take a piss and take a look at yourself? Long Outyan laughed loudly. His laughter was extremely ear-piercing, and it made Duan Wuji's face turn red. His eyes were filled with resentment. That's right. You don't have the strength, yet you still dare to act arrogantly. Sooner or later, you'll be beaten to death. Hurry up and get lost. How dare you try to curry favor with the moon goddess with your measly cultivation? You really don't know the difference between life and death. The old goat sneered and said, Ling Xiao, I'm going to kill you. Duan Wuji's lungs were about to explode from anger. His eyes were filled with blazing killing intent. He roared and charged at Ling Xiao. Get lost. Ling Xiao's brows furrowed, and he threw out another palm. Roar. The roar of a dragon shook the heavens. Ling Xiao's slap looked light, but it contained the power of the 10,000 dragons god-slaying technique. It was terrifying beyond compare. It was as if 49 true dragons were flying through the sky, exuding an incomparably vast power. Duan Wuji's body was surrounded by a purple aura. The draining spring godly spear in his hand seemed to transform into a purple river that wanted to pierce through Ling Xiao's body. Bang! Ling Xiao's slap landed on the draining spring godly spear, and then on Duan Wuji's chest. Duan Wuji's chest caved in, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Slap! Ling Xiao took advantage of the opportunity to slap Duan Wuji, and the other half of his face immediately swelled up. The originally handsome and confident Duan Wuji now looked like a pig's head. His hair was disheveled, and he looked incomparably miserable. Only now did Duan Wuji suddenly come to his senses, and a trace of fear appeared in his eyes. Ling Xiao had been able to slap him twice so easily. It wasn't a fluke, but because Ling Xiao was much stronger than him. Duan Wuji? At this moment, an indifferent and faintly discernible voice sounded. Duan Wuji raised his head and saw that the person in the sky was Emperor Qing. Emperor Qing was dressed in a green robe. He was tall and slender, and his entire body was filled with chaotic aura. His whole body exuded a divine aura, as if he were an ancient celestial emperor. Anyone who looked at him would feel ashamed of their inferiority. Previously, Duan Wuji had wanted to find Emperor Qing for revenge. However, before he could meet Emperor Qing, he had been slapped twice by Ling Xiao. He had lost face in front of everyone. This was simply a disgrace. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In the distance, a long rainbow streaked across the sky. It wasn't just Emperor Qing. More and more genius experts had arrived. De Geshui, Jian Wushuang, Zhao Ritian, Leng Yuyu, Qing Yun, Zhu Biao. They had all arrived at the Flowing Time Temple. When they saw Duan Wuji's miserable appearance, a trace of surprise appeared in their eyes. Rumble. In the void, the successor of the war god temple was clad in golden armor. His entire body was shimmering with light, and a group of genius experts followed him. Even Morong Xiantian of the Black Sky sect was by his side. He looked like a lackey. Your Highness, I'm willing to follow you. Please help me kill Ling Xiao. I want him to die. I want him to die without a burial place. Duan Wuji said through gritted teeth. In an instant, he arrived in front of the successor of the war god temple and bowed deeply. His eyes were filled with hatred as he looked at Ling Xiao. Chapter 824. Everyone was stunned. Duan Wuji actually knelt in front of the successor of the war god temple? No matter what, Duan Wuji was a peerless prodigy ranked 5th on the Azure Cloud leaderboard. Was he not afraid of embarrassing Kunlun Mountain? Although the crowd did not say anything, their eyes revealed a trace of disdain. Wuji, get up first. I will seek justice for you. The successor of the war god temple smiled faintly and raised his hand, helping Duan Wuji up. Thank you, Divine Son. They just said that the people on the Azure Cloud leaderboard were all trash. Even you, Divine Son, are no match for Ling Xiao. Duan Wuji sneered. His intentions were extremely sinister. He was basically putting Ling Xiao on the opposite side of all the prodigies on the Azure Cloud leaderboard. Arrogant. Too arrogant. I can already kill trash like the Ziwei Star Child and the Sky-Burning Demon Emperor, let alone the Divine Son. It seems that some people really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. They really need to be taught a lesson. Morong Xiantian sneered beside the successor of the war god temple. The successor of the war god temple had an indifferent expression as he slowly walked towards Ling Xiao. There was a trace of coldness in his eyes. Everyone was stunned. Was the successor of the war god temple looking for trouble with Ling Xiao? All of a sudden, 3 prodigies were targeting Ling Xiao. Could Ling Xiao handle it? Especially the successor of the war god temple. He was known as the #1 prodigy of the war god continent, and possessed the legendary chaotic sacred body. His battle prowess was unparalleled, and he was ranked 1st on the Azure Cloud leaderboard. Even if Ling Xiao's battle prowess was already monstrous, no one believed that he could defeat the successor of the war god temple. After all, the successor of the war god temple's strength was already deeply ingrained in everyone's hearts. Some people even said that if it weren't for the heavenly chosen convention, the successor of the war god temple would have already become a paragon. Ling Xiao, you are very arrogant. But you should know that arrogant people don't live long. Hand over that stone tablet. The successor of the war god temple glanced indifferently at Ling Xiao and said slowly. In the Demon Saint Palace, he and Buddhist Kasayapa had fought for the heavenly Tao Primal Chaos tablet. In the end, Ling Xiao had snatched it first, which made him feel embarrassed. Whether I am arrogant or not, I don't need you to worry. As for the stone tablet you mentioned, I haven't seen it either. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, a sharp glint in his eyes. The disciple of the war god Hall said, Ling Xiao, I advise you to hand over that stone tablet. That stone tablet isn't something that you can possess. Be careful that you don't bring disaster upon yourself. Ling Xiao glanced at the successor of the war god Hall and said, That's strange. I've never seen a stone tablet. Are you mistaken? The Heaven Tao Primal Chaos tablet was extremely important. Even if the successor of the war god Hall thought that the tablet had been snatched away by Ling Xiao refused to admit it. Ling Xiao, are you still pretending? Have you forgotten the stone tablet you snatched from me and Kasayapa in the Demon Saint Palace? As long as you are willing to hand over the stone tablet, it doesn't matter if it's a paragon artifact, a paragon pill, or even a sacred medicine. The war god Hall's successor's gaze turned cold as he spoke indifferently. I really haven't seen any stone tablets. Please go back. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, a few more powerful presences appeared in the distance. It was Buddhist Kasayapa in his white monk robes and straw sandals. He had arrived with a few disciples of the Thunderclap Temple. Kasayapa, that stone tablet is with Ling Xiao. Why don't we attack together, capture Ling Xiao, and snatch the stone tablet? We can study the scriptures on the stone tablet together. The successor of the war god Hall glanced at Kasyapa and spoke slowly. Stone tablet? What stone tablet? Your Highness, I've never heard of any stone tablet. Kasyapa smiled faintly as he glanced at the successor of the war god Hall and Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao was slightly taken aback. Kasyapa had been so concerned about the Heaven Dao Primal Chaos tablet previously. Why did he not seem to care about it now? Kasyapa, since you don't want it, I'll take it myself. Don't regret it when the time comes. The successor of the war god Hall revealed a cold glint in his eyes. Your Highness, please do as you wish. Kasyapa smiled faintly. Ling Xiao, are you going to hand it over yourself or wait for me to capture you? The successor of the war god Hall glanced at Ling Xiao expressionlessly as a vast and terrifying aura emanated from his body. Boom. Primal chaos filled the air as the successor of the war god Hall was surrounded by rays of light. His entire body glowed as if he was a god of war bathed in divine light. He emitted an aura that caused everyone's heart to palpitate. Everyone shuddered. Was the successor of the war god Hall going to attack Ling Xiao? Take a guess, if the successor of the war god Hall and Ling Xiao were to fight, who would win? Someone whispered softly. Is there even a need to ask? The successor of the war god Hall will definitely win. Ling Xiao is only a half-step supreme being with the tribulation of 3 symbols. His cultivation is 1 level lower. Moreover, the successor of the war god Hall has the chaotic sacred physique, a terrifying existence that can take on supreme weapons with his bare hands. Ling Xiao will lose without a doubt. That's right. I suspect that Ling Xiao might not even be a match for Kasyapa. At most, he's on par with the Azure Emperor. Everyone said in a low voice, their eyes revealing incomparable excitement. To be able to personally witness the successor of the war god Hall in action was a supreme opportunity. They couldn't help but be excited. Brother Ling, do you need help? The Azure Emperor, who was sitting cross-legged in the void, suddenly opened his eyes and asked indifferently. Thank you, Brother Azure Emperor. No need. I really want to see if the successor of the war god Hall is as powerful as the legends say. Ling Xiao smiled faintly as a powerful battle intent appeared in his eyes. The successor of the war god Hall before him was indeed very powerful. Even Ling Xiao could feel a powerful sense of danger. Ling Xiao really wanted to fight the successor of the war god Hall. Boom. Ling Xiao's body was surrounded by divine light as a powerful dragon's might spread. He stared at the successor of the war god Hall with a calm and indifferent gaze, but a peerless sharpness erupted from it. With Ling Xiao and the successor of the war god Hall as the center, the area within a radius of 3,000 meters seemed to have turned into an extremely terrifying domain. It caused the void to tremble and distort. Everyone in the surroundings felt a little oppressive, as if they couldn't breathe. They looked at Ling Xiao and the successor of the war god Hall in horror. Just the aura that they emitted was so terrifying. Just how powerful were these 2 people? Cousin, kill this bastard. He's too arrogant. What's there to be proud of? Long Outyin looked at the successor of the war god Hall with displeasure. Chapter 825. Do you want to die? Duan Wuji and Morong Xiantian looked at Long Outyin and the old goat coldly. Especially Duan Wuji, his eyes were filled with killing intent. He couldn't defeat Ling Xiao, so killing a few people around Ling Xiao to vent his anger wasn't a bad idea. Oh, Duan Wuji, you've grown up, huh? Do you want me to spar with you? I guarantee that I'll beat you until your mother can't recognize you. Long Outyin's eyes revealed a hint of eagerness as he spoke with a hint of malice in his voice. Little brat, do you think I'm afraid of you? Since you want to die so much, I'll grant you your wish. Then I'll help you. Duan Wuji's eyes flashed with cold killing intent. At this moment, he didn't care whether he was bullying the weak or not. Long Outyin's words had made him explode with anger. He wanted to vent his anger by killing this hateful brat. Just as everyone was about to draw their swords and break out into a huge battle, the void suddenly trembled. Kacha! Above the flowing time temple, the wind and clouds surged. Chaotic mist filled the air, and the void seemed to break open. Endless chaotic chi fell from the 9th heaven. Roar! Chirp! A dragon's roar and a phoenix's cry exploded between heaven and earth. Above the 9 heavens, a huge black bone dragon and a huge bone phoenix soared through the sky, exuding an ancient and boundless aura. It was as if they had come from an indescribable space-time, causing people to involuntarily tremble with a single glance. The bone dragon and bone phoenix were pulling a huge bronze coffin. Huge chains clanged and were engraved with many mysterious runes and ancient characters. Around them there was a group of soldiers wearing armor and carrying ancient weapons. They slowly descended from the 9th heaven with orderly steps. Their target was the flowing time temple. The soldiers passed through, the dragon and phoenix pulling the coffin. The same scene appeared again. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a hint of sharpness. Almost every time he saw the flowing time temple, he would see such a scene. The huge bone dragon and bone phoenix were so shocking every time he saw them. They exuded an incomparably terrifying aura. Could it be that the flowing time temple will only open after the dragon and phoenix pull the coffin, and the soldiers clear the way? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, revealing a thoughtful look. Rumble. As the bone dragon and bone phoenix slowly approached, everyone was shocked. Apart from a few genius experts from the martial Dao Holy Land, who had seen similar records in the ancient records of their sects, it was the first time for everyone else to see such a scene. The white jade square was completely silent. Everyone was looking at the scene in the sky. They didn't even dare to breathe loudly as they felt an incomparably stifling atmosphere. Boom. When the bone dragon and bone phoenix arrived in front of the flowing time divine palace, heaven and earth trembled. The flowing time divine palace emitted dazzling rays of divine light that rushed into the void. Chaotic fog filled the air, as if it was the light of the creation of the world, mysterious and vast. The 2 stone doors of the flowing time divine temple slowly opened, and a resplendent divine light mixed with chaotic chi gushed out. A mysterious vision flashed within, as if it was connected to another world. The bone dragon and bone phoenix pulled the ancient bronze coffin, and under the escort of a group of soldiers, they slowly entered the flowing time temple. The flowing time temple has finally opened. Many geniuses revealed a trace of excitement in their eyes, as they heaved a sigh of relief in their hearts. This also meant that the Heavenly Selection Convention had officially begun. Whoosh! Above the void, light filled the air as if it was the trace of the passage of time. In the midst of the resplendent white divine light, a figure in white clothes slowly emerged. "It's the Time General," someone exclaimed, and a trace of anticipation appeared in their eyes. "Everyone, welcome to the Flowing Time Temple. From today onwards, the Heavenly Selection Convention has officially begun." The Time General smiled faintly, and there seemed to be a dazzling light flowing in his eyes. He swept his gaze across the crowd, and finally stopped on Ling Xiao and the successor of the War God Temple for a moment before moving away. The Divine General of Time's words immediately cheered everyone up. This time, there were hundreds of thousands of geniuses who had entered the Time Cave. Except for a few who unfortunately died in the Time Cave, most of them had come here. Powerful and terrifying auras intertwined, and everyone wanted to enter the Flowing Time Temple to try their luck. Everyone, the Heavenly Selection Convention has a total of 9 checkpoints, also known as the 9 Heavens World. The Heavenly Selection Convention has been open for so long, and the most powerful person has only reached the 8 Heavens World. As for the 9 Heavens World, no one has ever entered it. I hope that this time, everyone can break the record and pass the 9 checkpoints in a row. Only then can you become the true Heavenly Selection. Those who have already reached the Supremacy Realm have no way to enter the Flowing Time Temple. Only those below the Supremacy Realm have the hope of becoming the Heavenly Selection. The Time General said faintly, "Every checkpoint you pass will bring you great benefits. In the end, the top 10 will be selected. Not only will they be listed on the Azure Sky ranking, but they will also be rewarded with peerless martial arts and supreme divine weapons. Everyone, work hard and follow me into the Flowing Time Temple. Once you enter, you will naturally know the rules of each checkpoint." The Flowing Time General's words immediately made everyone excited. They all soared into the air and rushed towards the Flowing Time Temple. "Ling Xiao, I won't go in. Be careful. The successor of the War God Temple isn't a good person. Be careful of that kid's tricks," the old goat said to Ling Xiao. All right. Ling Xiao nodded, his eyes revealing a trace of sharpness. Ling Xiao, I hope you can persevere for a few more checkpoints. If you get eliminated quickly, it won't be fun. I will wait for you in the 9th checkpoint. The successor of the War God Temple glanced at Ling Xiao indifferently. Don't worry. I will definitely enter the 9th checkpoint. I'm just afraid that when the time comes, you won't even have the qualifications to see me. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and replied, You have a sharp tongue. The Heavenly Selection Convention isn't as simple as you think. The successor of the War God Temple sneered, and turned around to enter the Flowing Time Temple with everyone else. Ling Xiao also smiled indifferently, and entered the Flowing Time Temple with everyone else. Rumble. Entering the Flowing Time Temple was like entering a new world. Everyone around Ling Xiao disappeared. The surrounding area was a vast expanse of whiteness. There was only an ordinary road in front of him that led to the distance. The path of reflection. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, and a piece of information appeared in his sea of consciousness. The first checkpoint was the path of reflection. It was a test of one's soul. It tested the strength of one's martial Tao, and whether it was an illusion or reality. Chapter 826. The Wenqin Road had a total of 81 interrogations, all of which were directed at one's heart. They contained one's obsession with martial arts and tested one's 7 emotions and 6 desires. One would pass if they could pass the test within a day. The Wenqin Road? Be it in my previous life or now, my martial arts heart has never wavered. Ling Xiao's eyes glinted as he slowly took a step forward. Boom. The surroundings changed, and Ling Xiao appeared in a magnificent palace. He sat on the dragon throne, surrounded by peerless beauties dressed in chiffon. They were all looking at Ling Xiao affectionately. Many of these beauties were familiar faces to Ling Xiao. There was Lu Piapiao, Nan Gongqing, Ji Feishuan, Ji Shuiyao, Ling Qingqing, and even the Phoenix Maiden and the Moon Goddess. They danced in front of Ling Xiao, exuding a different kind of seductive aura. Their figures were extremely hot. As the saying goes, even heroes have a weakness for the charms of beautiful women, let alone a hot-blooded young man. As long as there was a slight flaw in his state of mind, he would probably fall for them. However, Ling Xiao looked on coldly from the side. His eyes were clear as he continued to walk forward slowly. Ling Xiao, don't go. Don't you love me anymore? Ling Xiao, I'm willing to grow old with you. I'm willing to give birth to many children for you. We will be very happy. Why do you want to leave me? Ling Xiao, how can you be so cruel? Is the martial arts path so important? The gentle voices of the Moon Goddess, the Phoenix Maiden, and the others rang in Ling Xiao's ears. They wanted him to turn back and immerse himself in their tenderness forever. The martial arts path is eternal. My path is the peak of the martial arts path. Beautiful women, withered bones, pink skeletons, they are nothing but fleeting clouds. Ling Xiao sighed softly. He didn't even turn back. He ignored the calls behind him, and ignored the tenderness of the beauties. He was like a cold-blooded person. Every step he took was firm and merciless. Boom. The scenery around him disappeared, and Ling Xiao appeared in an unknown world. Around him were unmatched divine artifacts, exceptional divine medicines, countless pure yang pills, as well as heaven-reaching wealth. They emitted resplendent radiance, sparkling with precious light. Ling Xiao could feel the energy waves from the supreme weapons and elixirs. They were dazzling and looked exactly the same as the real world. They were not illusions at all. It was as if as long as he stayed there for a moment, he would be able to make those powerful divine artifacts recognize him as their master, and even obtain unparalleled power. However, Ling Xiao did not stop at all. From the beginning to the end, he stuck to his own heart and knew his own direction. Moreover, he did not hesitate at all. On this path of reflection, Ling Xiao experienced test after test and temptation after temptation, but he never stopped moving. Rumble. In the void, there was the sound of thunder and dazzling light. A mysterious voice rang out and directly transmitted into the depths of his soul. Ling Xiao, as long as you stop, you will have wealth that can rival an entire country, endless power, and a peerless beauty. The path of martial arts is too lonely, and the peak of martial arts is illusory. Why don't you stop and enjoy all this? Ling Xiao, you have parents and family. In the future, you will have a wife and children. You are so unreasonable and only know about martial arts. Are you a good son, a good husband, and a good father? Ling Xiao, as long as you stop, this world will be yours. You will be the god of this world. You can do whatever you want and do whatever you want. Ling Xiao, as long as you stop, all your enemies will die. The people you love will be happy. You will live forever and be happy. Isn't that good? Ling Xiao, as long as you stop, you will be able to obtain everything. Why do you still pursue the path of martial arts? A series of mysterious interrogations rang out in the void. They were about the 7 emotions and 6 desires, about greed, about anger, about love, hate, and separation. All of them were directed at Ling Xiao's heart. I don't want to. Ling Xiao raised his head and looked at the sky. His eyes were extremely sharp, as if they could pierce through the sky. His voice was resolute and resolute. I don't want to reach the heavens in a single step, because my foundation is not firm enough. The higher I fly, the harder I fall sooner or later. I don't want to leave my fate to others. I want to control my own fate. Whether it's being filial to my parents, loving my wife and children, protecting everything I love, or even killing my enemies, I want to complete them all one by one. My fate is in my own hands, not the heavens. I don't want to go against my heart. I like the feeling of being grounded, because that's the real me. No one can decide the path I choose for me, not even the heavens. With every step Ling Xiao took, a resolute statement would ring out from his mouth. The illusionary worlds around him rapidly shattered. Countless temptations, countless illusions. Everything was like a fleeting cloud, shattering one after another. Ling Xiao, do you miss Jin Se? As long as you stop, Jin Se will be with you. You will never be separated. Suddenly, a voice exploded in the depths of Ling Xiao's soul once more. Ling Xiao's resolute heart could not help but tremble slightly. The world around him changed, and Ling Xiao arrived at a familiar place. This was the Twin Mountains. 2 delicate peaks rose steeply from the ground, piercing through the clouds. All around him were towering ancient trees, and countless exotic flowers and plants were in full bloom, exuding a faint fragrance. The sky was high, and white clouds drifted in the sky. The sunlight fell on his body, warm and gentle. In front of Ling Xiao, there was a beautiful woman in a red dress who was smiling at him. Her eyes were filled with gentleness and warmth. Big brother Ling Xiao, come quickly. Come play with me. Big brother Ling Xiao, do you know how much I miss you? I miss you so much. Jin Se smiled at Ling Xiao. Her voice as clear as a silver bell. Jin Se. Jin Se. Ling Xiao's eyes became slightly moist, looking at the face in front of him that he yearned for day and night. Even if he knew that this was only an illusion, that the flowing time temple had stolen the memories in his heart and condensed them into Jin Se, Ling Xiao was still unable to control himself. Jin Se, are you all right? Ling Xiao stopped and stood beside Jin Se as he asked softly. Big brother Ling Xiao, I'm fine. Can you stay with me? I've already waited for you for 10,000 years. I don't want to be separated from you again. Jin Se looked at Ling Xiao affectionately, then gently walked over and hugged Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao's body trembled. Her delicate body was in his embrace, warm and real. His hands wrapped tightly around Jin Se's slender waist. Everything was so real. Smelling that familiar scent and looking at Jin Se's smiling face. This was the first time Ling Xiao saw Jin Se after 10,000 years. Chapter 827. All of Ling Xiao's persistence, hard work, and struggle between life and death were all meaningful at that moment. Ling Xiao's eyes became blurry as tears fell from them. However, a childlike smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Jin Se, my Jin Se. It's been 10,000 years. It's great to see you again. Ling Xiao muttered to himself as if he wanted to be immersed in the dreamland forever, unwilling to wake up. The flowing time divine palace was like a chaotic world. There were 9 mysterious palaces, each higher than the previous one, emitting a majestic and mysterious aura. In the first palace, many people appeared in this palace after walking out of the Heartseeker Road. 20 hours had passed, and there were already a few thousand people in the palace. They were all people who had walked out of Wenxin Road. Long Outyin, Long Zhantian, and the others had already walked out. At that moment, their eyes were filled with anxiety. Why hasn't cousin come out yet? It's almost time. Long Outyin said worriedly. Wenxin Road represented the strength of one's martial arts heart. It represented one's mental state cultivation. The stronger the mental state, the stronger the martial arts heart, and the shorter the time taken to walk out. For example, the descendant of the war god temple only took 15 minutes to walk out of Wenxin Road. He was also the first person to pass. Buddha Kasayapa and Emperor Qing were only a few breaths later than the descendant of the war god temple. They were also very fast. Zhao Ritian, on the other hand, was a surprise. He was the fourth to leave Wenxin Road. Jian Wushuang, De Geshui, Qing Yin, and Zhu Biao also followed Kasayapa and Emperor Qing out of Wenxin Road. What surprised everyone was that Taoist Wuliang and Long Outyin, like Jian Wushuang and the others, took less than 30 minutes to walk out of the war god temple. If Ling Xiao were here, he would definitely know that Taoist Wuliang was hiding his true strength. His true strength was definitely not limited to this. Taoist Wuliang's state of mind was probably even more terrifying than Ling Xiao's. It was a state of mind where there was nothing but the mind. Long Outyin, on the other hand, had a pure and innocent heart. Hence, his speed was extremely fast. As for Long Zhantian, Li Jingming, Lin Hui, Yueshan and Phoenix Maiden, they were all geniuses. They used less than 2 hours to pass the Heartseeker Road. The first 10 to clear Wenxin Road were out. They were the successor of War God Temple, Buddha Kasayapa, Emperor Qing, Zhao Ritian, Jian Wushuang, De Geshui, Qing Yun, Zhu Biao, Daoist Wuliang, and Long Outyin. Surprisingly, Duan Wuji, who was ranked 5th on the Azure Sky ranking, took 6 hours to leave Wenxin Road. Murong Xiantian, who was ranked 7th, also took 4 hours. And Leng Yuyu, like Long Zhantian and the others, used nearly 2 hours to clear the stage. Many people guessed that Duan Wuji's mental state had been affected by Ling Xiao's slap in the face. Otherwise, he wouldn't have taken so long. What shocked everyone the most was that Ling Xiao still hadn't exited seclusion until now. Previously, outside the Flowing Time Temple, Ling Xiao had easily slapped Duan Wuji twice. Many people believed that Ling Xiao's battle prowess was at least comparable to Emperor Qing's. It stood to reason that he should have come out long ago. However, 20 hours had passed and Ling Xiao still hadn't appeared. One had to know that those who hadn't passed Wenxin Road after 24 hours would all be eliminated. Even Ma Junjie, Xiong Xiaohe, and Hu Zi, who had good aptitudes, had exited seclusion in about 6 hours. Ling Xiao must have encountered something in Wenxin Road. Don't worry about him, he will definitely come out soon. Daoist Wuliang's eyes flashed as he comforted them. He knew that Ling Xiao's martial heart was extremely firm. The only flaw was Jin Sei. Could it be that Ling Xiao had met Jin southeast in Wenxin Road? That was probably the only explanation. Hee what bullshit, peerless genius. He still hasn't passed Wenxin Road. His state of mind is really unbearable. I think that even if he passes Wenxin Road, he will definitely be eliminated in the second stage. Duan Wuji finally found a reason to attack Ling Xiao and sneered. Brother Duan is right. Although Wenxin Road only needs to be cleared in 1 day, only those who pass within 6 hours are qualified to attempt the second stage. Even if Ling Xiao comes out, he won't have a chance. His aptitude is really unbearable. Murong Xiantian also sneered. What are you two bastards talking about? Cousin will definitely come out and pass the second, third, and even the 9th stage. Don't look down on him, you two bastards. Long Outyan's eyes revealed a trace of anger as he glared at Duan Wuji and Murong Xiantian. Boy, don't be so stubborn. Ling Xiao has brute force, but his state of mind is not up to par. I'm afraid that he will never be able to become a sovereign in his lifetime. Not to mention the second stage. I bet that Ling Xiao will definitely be eliminated in the second stage. Duan Wuji sneered. Seeing that Long Outyan was about to go berserk, Daoist Wuliang quickly pulled him back and glanced at Duan Wuji. Are you so sure that Ling Xiao will be eliminated in the second stage? Do you dare to make a bet with us? Bet on what? Duan Wuji sneered. Bet that Ling Xiao can pass the second stage. If Ling Xiao can pass the second stage, you will obediently kneel down and shout, "I'm an idiot" 3 times. Do you dare? Daoist Wuliang smiled faintly. Although Long Outyin didn't know what Daoist Wuliang was up to, he couldn't be weak at this moment. He sneered. That's right, you're an idiot. Don't you dare? Why wouldn't I dare? Fine. I'll bet with you. But if Ling Xiao can't pass the second stage, you two will have to kneel down and call me grandfather 3 times. Do you dare? Duan Wuji sneered. In the previous Heaven's Choice conventions, only those who passed the first trial within 6 hours had a chance of passing the second trial. Even if there were exceptions, they would at least pass within 10 hours. Now that 20 hours had passed, it was absolutely impossible for Ling Xiao to pass the second stage. Haha, good. But to prevent anyone from going back on their word, how about we ask the Divine General of Time to be a witness? Daoist Wuliang smiled faintly and looked up at the Divine General of Time. The Divine General of Time had been sitting cross-legged as if cultivating. No one dared to disturb him, but when he heard Daoist Wuliang's words, he slowly opened his eyes, a strange light filling them. Good. I'll be your witness. The Divine General of Time said faintly. Ha ha ha. You've lost for sure. Don't mention the second stage. I don't think Ling Xiao can even pass the first stage. Just wait until you kneel down and call me grandfather. Duan Wuji sneered. Is that so? We'll see. Chapter 828. Inside the Wenxin Road. As Ling Xiao and Jin Se were together, time ticked by. He could clearly feel that the 24-hour limit was about to be reached. Jin Se, I'm leaving, Ling Xiao said as he looked at Jin Se. Where are you going? Big brother Ling Xiao, I won't let you go. Can you stay with me? Jin Se has been alone for 10,000 years. I don't want you to leave me. Jin Se's face revealed a pained expression as she hugged Ling Xiao. Jin Se, trust me. Once I become a supreme, I'll bring you back. We'll never be apart. Ling Xiao said affectionately. Bring me back? Aren't I right here? Big brother Ling Xiao, don't go, okay? Jin Se said as tears welled up in her eyes. I'm sorry, Jin Se. I have to go. Trust me, I'll come back for you. Ling Xiao left Jin Se's embrace and looked at her one last time before he turned around and left without hesitation. Big brother Ling Xiao, don't leave me. Come back. Jin Se's cries came from behind, causing Ling Xiao's heart to tremble. But he still left without hesitation. Ling Xiao knew that an illusion would always be an illusion. Although he had been willful this time and accompanied Jin Se for so long, the time to wake up had come. He had to work hard to pass the 9 stages and obtain the inheritance of the Scarlet Dragon War God. This time, he couldn't give in to anyone. In the first palace, the 24-hour limit was almost up, but Ling Xiao still hadn't come out. What happened to cousin? Could it be the War God Temple's doing? Long Outyin said angrily. Everyone's eyes were filled with disbelief. Was Ling Xiao going to be eliminated in the first round? Even the successor of the War God Temple, Kasayapa, and the Lotus Emperor were confused. They had seen Ling Xiao before and knew his strength. Although the Wenxin Road wasn't simple, it shouldn't be that Ling Xiao couldn't pass it after such a long time. Haha. What did I say? You want to bet with me with just you? Ling Xiao can't even pass the first stage. You want to pass the second stage? Hurry up and kneel down and call me grandpa. Duan Wuji laughed heartily, his eyes filled with pride. Brother Duan, Ling Xiao is really overestimating himself. His mental state cultivation is really disappointing. Morong Xiantian said with a faint smile. But in the next moment, Duan Wuji and Morong Xuantian's laughter stopped abruptly. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. In the distance, on the Wenxin Road that was filled with mist, Ling Xiao's figure stepped out. His steps were slow, but they were extremely firm. There was a sharp glint in Ling Xiao's eyes. His entire being seemed to have undergone a baptism, becoming even more unfathomable. Cousin, you finally came out. You scared me to death. Long Outyan's eyes were filled with joy as he quickly ran over to Jiang Chun and said, I'm fine. I was delayed by a small matter. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Daoist Wuliang did not seem surprised at all. He exchanged a glance with Ling Xiao. When he saw the calm expression in Ling Xiao's eyes, Taoist Wuliang knew that he had guessed correctly. It was indeed Jin Se. Only Jin Se could delay Ling Xiao for such a long time. What's there to be happy about? It took him 24 hours to barely pass the Wenxin Road. He will definitely be eliminated in the second round. I will definitely win this bet. Duan Wuji said with a cold smile. His voice was extremely harsh. Bet. Ling Xiao frowned slightly and glanced at Long Outyin and Taoist Wuliang. It's like this. Duan Wuji saw that you had not come out of the Wenxin Road after so long, so he made a bet with us. He said that even if you came out of the Wenxin Road, you would definitely not be able to pass the second stage. So we made a bet with him. Taoist Wuliang smiled faintly and told Ling Xiao about the bet with Duan Wuji. Cousin Duan Wuji is a big idiot. If you can't pass the second stage, I'm afraid that everyone else can. Later, we must give this idiot a good slap in the face. Long Outyin sneered as he looked at Duan Wuji. A bet? He really brought this upon himself. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and looked calmly at Duan Wuji. Zhao Ritian, who was in the distance, saw Ling Xiao come out of the Wenxin Road and heaved a sigh of relief. I knew it. How could this fiend not be able to pass the Heartseeker Road? He must have a belly full of dirty tricks to trick people. Looks like Duan Wuji is in trouble now. Zhao Ritian said with a hint of schadenfreude. Zhao Ritian had been tricked by Ling Xiao in the 8 Desolates region. He had eaten a few pieces of diamond rock and was still traumatized by it. It was fine to bet with anyone. Zhao Ritian's principle was to never bet with Ling Xiao. That was simply asking for trouble. Time's up. The Time Divine General opened his eyes, and there was a glimmer of light in them. He waved his sleeves and the Wenxin Road shone brightly. Those who had not yet passed the Wenxin Road flew out of the Time Divine Hall and landed on the square outside the Time Divine Hall. They had all been eliminated. Congratulations everyone. A total of 8,352 people have passed the first stage. Now, please proceed to the second stage. The Time Divine General said faintly. The door of the first heavenly palace slowly opened and emitted a bright light. A rainbow bridge extended out and connected to the second heavenly palace. Finally, the second stage? Let's go. The second stage is said to be related to the comprehension of the law profound. It tests one's martial Tao law power. This is my strong point. Let's go. Everyone stepped onto the rainbow bridge and flew towards the second stage. Boom. After everyone entered the second heavenly palace, a bright light shone in front of them, and they arrived in an ancient small world. There was a huge lake in front of them. It was at least 10,000 miles wide, and it was as calm as a mirror. However, everyone could feel a mysterious fluctuation of law power coming from the lake. The second stage, the Lake of Laws. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed, and he began to check the information about the Lake of Laws in his mind. It turned out that this lake was called the Lake of Laws. It contained many fishes formed from law power. There were the 5 elements of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, as well as lightning, wind, ice, yin and yang. Every law was divided into small success, large success, and perfection. A fish at small success was only an inch long. A fish at large success was a foot long, and a fish at large success was 10 feet long. This stage was a competition of fishing. Within a day, one had to catch at least one fish with perfection to pass the stage. Fishing? This stage is really ingenious. Chapter 829. Normally speaking, King Realm experts condensed soul cores and started to cultivate divine abilities in the martial Tao. Monarch Realm experts condensed divine abilities and started to rely on the energy of the laws of the world to erupt with terrifying strength. However, only Exalt Realm experts were able to completely comprehend the laws of the world. For example, those that had comprehended the laws of the 5 elements were the gold, wood, water, fire, and earth elemental exalts. The reason exalts possessed such terrifying strength was because they were able to fully utilize the energy of the laws of the world. So logically speaking, only exalts were able to get close to the energy of the laws and fish them out of the lake of laws at perfection. Half-step exalts were at most able to fish out the laws at the initial stage. and it was extremely difficult to fish out the laws at perfection. Cousin brother, I don't know how to fish. Why don't I just jump into the lake of laws and catch a few dozen? Long Outyin scratched his head with an embarrassed expression. Jump in and catch fish? Why don't you just go to heaven? Ling Xiao rolled his eyes and glared at Long Outyin. The lake of laws contained powerful laws of the world, and it was extremely chaotic. It could be said to be condensed from the energy of the laws. Not to mention a half-step exalt. Even a true exalt would be assimilated by the chaotic energy of the laws if they jumped into the lake of laws just like that. Their body would collapse, and even their soul core would be transformed into nothingness. It could be said that the lake of laws was even more terrifying than poison. Unless one possessed the legendary chaotic saint physique that could contain all energy, perhaps only then would one be able to remain safe within the laws of chaos. Even though Long Outyin's body was very strong, it was still made of flesh and blood in the end, so it was utterly unable to endure the chaotic energy within the lake of laws. After he heard Ling Xiao explain the lake of laws, Long Outyin was terrified to the point of jumping up and down as if he'd seen a ghost. He moved very far away from the lake of laws and didn't mention anything about entering the lake of laws again. Fishing in the lake of laws wasn't done with a simple hook or line, and it could be done with various methods. For example, one could use a formidable exalt artifact to catch the fish, or one could even jump down to catch the fish. As for the true method, it was to use the soul core as the line and the quintessence of the martial Tao as the hook to comprehend the fluctuations of the laws within the lake of laws and draw the fish out of it. This wasn't just a test of one's comprehension of the laws, but more importantly, the strength of one's mental state. Ling Xiao, you used 24 hours to pass through the Heartseeker Road. From this, it can be seen just how weak your mental state is. Let alone a fish with perfected laws. Just being able to catch a fish with minor success laws is already your good fortune. This time, you're bound to lose. Duan Wuji looked at Ling Xiao provocatively and sneered. The reason Duan Wuji dared to make this bet was because he knew that the second trial was the lake of laws. With Ling Xiao's current state of mind, it was simply impossible for him to catch a fish with perfect laws in a day. Ling Xiao didn't even glance at Duan Wuji, directly ignoring him. Instead, he sat down cross-legged beside the lake of laws, and began to comprehend the power of laws within it. Bastard! Duan Wuji's expression darkened when he saw Ling Xiao's disregard. Brother Duan, why don't we attack together this time? As long as Ling Xiao perceives a law fish, we can scare it away. That way, Ling Xiao won't be able to sense a single law fish. Murong Xuantian's eyes lit up as he suddenly sent a voice transmission to Duan Wuji. Okay, let's do it. Brother Murong, as long as we can eliminate Ling Xiao, I'll owe you a favor. Duan Wuji replied fiercely. Ling Xiao didn't look at Duan Wuji and Murong Xiantian. Instead, he closed his eyes, calmed his heart, and sent the power of his primordial spirit into the lake of laws. Boom! Ling Xiao's primordial spirit seemed to have entered a vast and mysterious world. The lake of laws was incomparably mysterious. The power of laws intertwined and transformed into countless strange scenes. There was a world of flames, a world of ice, a world of wind, a world of thunder and lightning. In front of the majestic power of laws, Ling Xiao's primordial spirit was insignificant, like a drop of water in an endless sea. Ling Xiao felt as if his primordial spirit was being tempered by a mysterious power. The power of laws flowed, making his understanding of the world clearer. When Ling Xiao's primordial spirit entered the lake of laws, it was like a sponge, absorbing a large amount of the power of laws. The heat of the flames, the cold of the frost, the sharpness of the wind, the destruction of the thunder and lightning, the circulation of the 5 elements, the changes of yin and yang, the creation of all things. All kinds of mysterious power of laws began to gather in Ling Xiao's primordial spirit, causing his understanding of the laws of heaven and earth to increase rapidly. So that's how it is. Ling Xiao understood in his heart. Logically speaking, it was impossible for a half-step sovereign to catch a fish with perfect laws. However, if the primordial spirit was tempered in the lake of laws, it would be able to comprehend the laws of heaven and earth in the lake of laws and constantly improve its perfection. Rather than saying that it took 24 hours to catch a fish with perfect laws, It was better to say that those 24 hours were a supreme opportunity and great fortune. It was no wonder that the successor of the war god temple, Buddha Kasyapa, Emperor Qing, and the others sat cross-legged beside the Lake of Laws and sank their primordial spirits into the Lake of Laws to begin absorbing the power of laws. Only a few people who didn't know the inside story were scratching their ears and cheeks. Some took out powerful Dao tools like nets, and some even took out supreme tools in an attempt to forcibly catch the fish. However, those fish weren't physical, but formed from the laws of heaven and earth. Without the guidance of the primordial spirit, even a divine tool wouldn't be able to catch those fish, let alone a supreme tool. Boom. 3,000 chaotic worlds seemed to appear behind the successor of the war god Hall. The power of his primordial spirit was unparalleled, directly radiating out to a radius of 3,000 feet. The Lake of Laws in front of him seemed to begin to ripple. Strands of powerful power of laws seemed to be devoured as they fused into the chaotic world behind the war god temple. A mysterious Buddha appeared above Buddha Kasyapa's head. He sat cross-legged in the void, smiling as he pinched a flower. His body emitted a brilliant light that seemed to illuminate millions of worlds, radiating a radius of 29,000 feet. He was also refining the power of laws. Behind the Emperor Qing, a mysterious ball of dazzling green light surrounded by a mysterious chaotic fog. No one could see clearly what was inside the ball of green light. If it were Ling Xiao, he would definitely be able to see that the ball of green light contained the Emperor Qing's true body, the Grade 36 Chaotic Green Lotus. The Grade 36 Chaotic Green Lotus seemed to be rooted in the depths of the endless void. Its 36 petals were dazzling, radiating a radius of 29,000 feet, and beginning to absorb the power of laws. The vision behind Zhao Ritian was also extremely shocking. It was a dazzling and mysterious divine sun that emitted an endless blazing light that seemed to illuminate the 9 heavens and 10 lands. Zhao Ritian also radiated a radius of 29,000 feet, and began to absorb the power of laws. Chapter 830. The successor of the war god temple is indeed the strongest. His primordial spirit radiated 1,000 feet. I'm afraid this is unprecedented in the history of the Heaven's Choice Convention, right? That's right. Legend has it that the limit of a half-step sovereign's lake of law is 3,000 feet. It seems that only the legendary sword demon Duga Chobai has achieved it. The successor of the war god temple seems to be the legendary nine-severing genius. I think he's definitely the chosen one of this Heaven's Choice Convention. That's right. However, the range of the primordial spirit radiated only represents the potential of the primordial spirit. Buddha Kasyapa and Emperor Qing also radiated 29,000 feet, which is about the same as the successor of the war god temple. It's enough to be ranked in the top 10 in history. They have the strength to compete with the successor of the war god temple. And that Zhao Ritian. How can that guy have such terrifying primordial spirit potential? It's unbelievable. Everyone discussed animatedly, their eyes filled with incomparable shock. Look, that fatty seems to be called Zhu Biao, and that mysterious young man Qing Yun. His primordial spirit actually radiated 28,099 feet, even surpassing Jian Wushuang and Duga Shui. Another person cried out in alarm, and his entire body began to tremble. Zhu Biao was like a fat piece of meat sitting next to the Lake of Law. He was still gnawing on a lamb leg, but there was a terrifying beast behind him. It was shrouded in endless divine light, and couldn't be seen clearly. Behind Qing Yun, there was a stretch of chaotic lightning that was filled with mysterious light. It rumbled and shook the heavens, causing people to tremble in fear. Zhu Biao and Qing Yun's primordial spirit radiations had actually reached 28,099 feet. As for Jian Wushuang and Duga Shui, there was a terrifying divine sword behind them, filled with sword essence. It was incomparably terrifying, radiating 28,000 feet. It was also considered very shocking. However, in front of Zhu Biao and Qing Yun, it was somewhat overshadowed. That fatty Zhu Biao's original body seems to be a fierce beast, but it's incomparably mysterious. It's very likely that he's also a descendant of an ancient divine beast. Qing Yun is more mysterious. This young man seems to have appeared out of thin air. It's possible that he's the successor of a hidden ancient clan. Some people's eyes flashed as they guessed the true identity of Zhu Biao and Qing Yun. However, many people had different opinions, which made Zhu Biao and Qing Yun's identity even more mysterious. These people were the most dazzling existences, while the others were overshadowed. However, the few people with Ling Ling Xiao were rather eye-catching and shocking. But the Moon and Phoenix woman's primordial radiations had reached a terrifying primordial spirit radiations of Moon and Phoenix. Maiden's primordial spirit had had a terrifying radiated radiations of Moon's radiations of Moon Goddess and Phoenix Lady. On the other hand, Daoist Wuliang and Long Outyin were also extremely shocking. Both of their primordial divinities had a range of 2,600 zhang. To the heavens. Ling Xiao estimated that Long Outyin's potential might not be comparable to the successor of War God Temple, but he would definitely not be weaker than Buddhist Kasayapa, Qing Yun, and Zhao Ritian. Damn it! How can those guys with Ling Xiao have such powerful primordial spirit potential? Duan Wuji and Murong Xuantian's faces were ugly. Their primordial spirit radiations had radiations of Moon Goddess. Although it was not bad, they could rank in the top 100 among the thousands of people present. However, it was not comparable to the strength of the Azure Sky Roll's geniuses. It attracted the attention of many people, which made Duan Wuji and Murong Xiantian extremely depressed. That's Ling Xiao. Ha ha ha. I'm dying of laughter. Radiations of Moon Goddess? I'm afraid he's dead last, right? Duan Wuji was stunned when he saw the range of Ling Xiao's primordial spirit. Then he burst into laughter. Ling Xiao's primordial spirit sat cross-legged beside the lake of law. Golden light flickered around him, and there seemed to be a mysterious golden vortex behind him. At this moment, there were thousands of people sitting cross-legged beside the lake of law. Almost all of them were half-step supremes, but even the weakest one had a primordial spirit radiations of Moon Goddess. Ling Xiao's primordial spirit radiated a radius of 10 feet. Indeed, he was ranked last. That's Ling Xiao? How disappointing. He killed the Ziwei Star Child and the Sky-Burning Demon Emperor. How can his primordial spirit radiations of Moon Goddess be only 10 feet? Many people were also paying attention to Ling Xiao. When they saw the range of Ling Xiao's primordial spirit radiations, they were filled with disbelief and disappointment. Before entering the Flowing Time Shrine, many people thought that Ling Xiao had the strength to compete with Buddha Kasayapa and Emperor Qing. However, his performance in the first and second trials had disappointed many people. There's no other way. Ling Xiao was the last to come out of the path of reflection in the first trial. It seems that his mental state cultivation is really weak. No matter how many opportunities he has, no matter how strong he is, he showed it all in the Heavenly Choice Convention. That's right. There's a saying that goes, being young is not necessarily good. It's used to describe Ling Xiao. With Ling Xiao's talent, I'm afraid he won't be able to become a supremacy in this lifetime. It seems that Duan Wuji and Murong Xiantian were right. Ling Xiao will definitely be eliminated in the second trial. Many people were discussing and sighing. Ling Xiao's primordial spirit radiations were even more shocking than the primordial spirit radiations of the successor of the War God Temple. You bastards, do you have nothing better to do? If you don't want to participate in the Heavenly Choice Convention, then get out of here. Do you think my cousin needs to be discussed by you? Long Outyin, who was absorbing the power of law, opened his eyes and roared at the crowd. His lungs were about to explode from anger when he heard the crowd's words. A terrifying and vast dragon aura radiated from Long Outyin's body, causing everyone to tremble. It was as if they were facing a powerful divine beast. Everyone shut their mouths and began to absorb the power of law to cultivate. However, many people still looked at Ling Xiao with gloating eyes. Ignore them. I don't know what kind of evil tricks Ling Xiao is hiding. I think he's trying to trick Duan Wuji and Murong Xiantian. You should cultivate well. This lake of law is a supreme opportunity that only appears once in 1,000 years. Don't waste a single second. Daoist Wuyang's voice suddenly entered Long Outyin's mind as he chuckled. Long Outyin was taken aback for a moment before he grinned. He was too concerned. How could Ling Xiao's primordial spirit radiations only be 10 feet? He must be hiding his strength. He was probably trying to trick them. However, he was too ruthless in hiding his strength. His primordial spirit radiations of 10 feet were fake no matter how one looked at it. However, the crowd couldn't see through it, and continued to mock Ling Xiao. Chapter 831. According to past heavenly selection conferences, if a half-step supreme being wanted to catch a fish with perfected laws within 24 hours, their primordial spirit radiation would have to reach more than 10,000 feet. Only by radiating his essence soul for 1,000 feet would he be able to absorb enough nomological power in a short 24 hours to fish out a perfected nomological fish. In other words, 90% of the thousands of people would be eliminated. The second stage, the Lake of Laws, was indeed very difficult. Many people felt dejected. This was only the second stage. There were 9 stages in the Heavenly Selection Conference. If the second stage was so difficult, who could make it to the end? Ling Xiao closed his eyes and sat cross-legged beside the Lake of Laws. His body was surrounded by a faint golden light, and a golden vortex was behind him. The phenomenon on Ling Xiao's body was naturally incomparable to that of the successor of the War God Temple, Buddha Kasyapa, Emperor Qing, Zhao Ritian, and the others. However, Ling Xiao didn't care about the others, and was deeply immersed in a state of enlightenment. What no one noticed was that the wordless heavenly book was emitting a mysterious fluctuation that allowed Ling Xiao's primordial spirit to completely spread out, and shroud the entire Lake of Laws. In Ling Xiao's eyes, the Lake of Laws became clearer and clearer. The mysterious power of laws were like law lines that were densely intertwined, and began to slowly integrate into Ling Xiao's primordial spirit. The wordless heavenly book didn't seem to have any attributes. No matter what kind of law was in the Lake of Laws, they were all pulled by the wordless heavenly book, and were devoured by Ling Xiao's primordial spirit. This Lake of Law can perhaps be seen as a small origin sea. Ling Xiao thought to himself. Back then, he saw the origin sea of the War God continent in the God Burial Cave. The vast and mysterious power of laws of heaven and earth was countless times greater than this Lake of Laws. If I want to enter the origin sea to find the Jin Sei, this Lake of Laws is a good opportunity. It seems that I have to give it a try. Ling Xiao thought to himself. Long Outyin had said that he wanted to jump into the Lake of Laws, but Ling Xiao had stopped him. Now Ling Xiao had to make such a crazy decision. Ling Xiao could feel that although the Lake of Laws was very dangerous, he had the wordless heavenly book in hand and the sky-devouring secret technique that could devour endless power of laws. He should be able to give it a try. If he didn't even dare to enter the Lake of Laws, how could he enter the origin sea? Ling Xiao's eyes abruptly opened, revealing a glimmer of light. Wu Liang Aotian, I'm preparing to enter the Lake of Law to take a look. Don't worry. After Ling Xiao finished speaking, he instantly turned into a stream of light, and entered the Lake of Law. Enter the Lake of Law you. Daoist Wu Liang was also shocked by Ling Xiao's decision. However, before he could stop him, Ling Xiao had already jumped in. Moreover, he stopped breathing in an instant. Cousin didn't let me enter the Lake of Law, so why did he jump in himself? Could it be that he really wants to jump into the Lake of Law to catch fish? Long Outyin was also dumbfounded, his face full of disbelief. Don't worry. Since he dares to go down, he will be fine. Taoist Wu Yang smiled bitterly and quickly comforted Long Outyin. When Ling Xiao jumped into the Lake of Law, many people were dumbfounded. Jumping into the Lake of Law. This is Ling Xiao courting death? It's said that even supreme being powerhouses don't dare to enter the Lake of Law. Even if Ling Xiao wants to die, he doesn't have to do this, right? Could it be that he suffered a blow? His primordial spirit radiated 10 feet. This kind of potential and aptitude is simply trash. Could it be that he couldn't think of anything and jumped into the lake to commit suicide? It's over. This time Ling Xiao is definitely dead. Moreover, he will die without a complete corpse. Everyone had different expressions as they discussed in low voices. There were even some who revealed expressions of schadenfreude. Jumping into the Lake of Law. This guy. Is he really courting death? Duan Wuji and Murong Xiantian were also shocked, their eyes filled with disbelief. I feel that this kid shouldn't be so stupid, right? Could it be that there is some secret in the Lake of Law? Or does Ling Xiao have something to rely on to survive in the Lake of Law? Murong Xuantian's eyes revealed a trace of suspicion. If he wants to survive in the Lake of Law, unless Ling Xiao has a flawless divine tool. But even if he has a flawless divine tool, what's the use of entering the Lake of Law? I think this kid knows that he is trash and jumped into the lake to commit suicide. Duan Wuji sneered, his eyes filled with schadenfreude. No matter what, if he doesn't come out, I'm afraid he will definitely be eliminated. There is no need for us to do anything. You will definitely win this bet. Murong Xiantian sighed softly. Regardless of what everyone thought, Ling Xiao had already entered the Lake of Law. Without entering the Divine Stone or activating the wordless Heavenly Book, Ling Xiao relied on his own strength to resist the chaotic power of laws in the Lake of Law. Rumble! A vast power of laws surged toward Ling Xiao, containing an incomparably chaotic power, as if it wanted to turn everything into nothingness. Even a true sovereign would avoid the chaotic power of laws. After all, a sovereign expert was only proficient in a certain type of law, and could not comprehend all the laws of heaven and earth. At this moment, Ling Xiao looked like he was being cut into pieces. Although his true dragon body was unparalleled, his flesh and blood were peeled off by the lines of laws and instantly turned into nothingness. Devouring Heaven's secret technique, devour. The extreme pain spread, but Ling Xiao did not even frown. Instead, he activated the Devouring Heaven's secret technique and began to devour the chaotic power of laws around him. At this moment, Ling Xiao looked extremely terrifying. The flesh and blood on his body had disappeared, leaving only a golden skeleton and a heart that was emitting seven-colored light, beating slowly. With every beat of his heart, a majestic vitality spread out and swam toward Ling Xiao's body. As for his bones, they shone with a resplendent golden light. They were like golden crystals, and mysterious runes were branded on them, protecting his bones from being corroded and harmed by the power of laws. Rumble! The terrifying and chaotic power of laws was devoured by Ling Xiao and turned into a majestic vitality. Flesh and blood rapidly grew on Ling Xiao's bones, but the moment it appeared, it was obliterated by the chaotic power of laws. Just like that, Ling Xiao's flesh and blood became stronger and stronger as he was continuously reborn and destroyed. Every time his flesh and blood was reborn, they were like glass crystals. There were even powerful nomological law lines imprinted on them, making Ling Xiao's body almost transform into a complete nomological law body. Chapter 832. As the saying goes, destruction leads to reconstruction. Ling Xiao's flesh and blood were being destroyed by the magical laws, but at the same time, he was using the heaven-devouring secret art to devour the chaotic magical laws and convert them into life force quintessence that he could use to create a new fleshly body. The King Heaven Devourer cauldron shone with dazzling light, surrounded by dazzling golden light that transformed into a vortex that devoured the chaotic magical laws within the Lake of Laws. Whoosh! It was a fish, fully 3 meters long and wreathed in flames. Shockingly, it was a fish with magical laws in the consummate level, and was instantly devoured by the King Heaven Devourer cauldron. Ling Xiao instantly felt the blazing, burning, life, and destructive power of the flames, causing his comprehension of the laws of fire to become even more perfect. A few other fish that were surrounded by dazzling lightning tried to flee, but were also sucked into the Heaven Devourer cauldron. Ling Xiao released the wordless heavenly tome and the Heaven Devourer cauldron, and the Lake of Laws was in complete chaos. Ruiyuyumble. The originally calm Lake of Laws began to tremble violently. Waves swept out, causing the originally chaotic Lake of Laws to become even more chaotic. Ling Xiao sat cross-legged at the bottom of the Lake of Laws, ignoring everything else as he devoured and refined the chaotic magical laws. What's going on? Everyone outside the Lake of Laws was shocked, and looks of disbelief could be seen on their faces. The originally calm Lake of Law seemed to have gone berserk at this moment. Many people had already sensed the fluctuations of the law fish. Originally, they wanted to draw the law fish out in one go, but this time, it could be considered as a disaster. The magical laws, regardless of whether they were in the minor, greater, or great circle, were fleeing in all directions, as if they had been frightened by something. The Lake of Laws isn't shaking because of that punk Ling Xiao, is it? Duan Wuji said, a look of shock in his eyes. Impossible. The Lake of Law is extremely terrifying. Even if a sovereign expert enters it, their physical body will be assimilated into nothingness. Even if Ling Xiao isn't dead, he's probably hiding in the treasure space. He doesn't have the ability to cause such a huge fluctuation. Morong Xuantian's eyes flashed as he spoke slowly. So what's going on with the Lake of Laws? I feel that even if it wasn't caused by Ling Xiao, it definitely has something to do with him. Duan Wuji said gloomily. Don't worry about that for now. The 24 hours are almost up. The most important thing is to hurry up and attract the law of nature fish. Otherwise, I'm afraid we'll all be eliminated. Morong Xiantian quickly said, trying his best to calm himself down. He began to use the power of his spirit to sense the law fish in the Lake of Law. The successor of the war god Hall also opened his eyes in confusion. There was a sharp glint in his eyes, as if he could see through the entire Lake of Laws. But in the depths of the Lake of Laws, there was a chaotic and resplendent light regiment, as though it was enveloping a figure, causing him to be unable to see it clearly. Ling Xiao is actually safe and sound in the Lake of Law. The successor of the war god shrine revealed a trace of surprise. After all, only Ling Xiao had jumped into the Lake of Laws. That figure could only be Ling Xiao. I want to see what you're up to. The successor of the war god Hall sneered as he gave off a vast and majestic aura. Rumble. The world trembled as the 3,000 chaotic worlds behind the successor of the war god Hall began to tremble. Wisps of chaotic mist filled the air and instantly probed into the Lake of Laws, frantically seizing the chaotic power of laws in the Lake of Laws. Since you don't care about the rules, then let's use our own methods. The Lotus Emperor glanced at the successor of the war god Hall, with a sharp glint in his eyes. The 36th grade chaotic green lotus behind him shot out wisps of green light, similarly seizing the power of laws in the Lake of Laws. Buddhist Kasayapa, Zhao Ritian Zhubiao, Qing Yun, Taoist Wuliang Longoutian. Many genius experts threw caution to the wind, and began to seize the power of laws in the Lake of Laws. They all knew that the power of law in the Lake of Law was a great opportunity, but Ling Xiao used some unknown method to directly jump into the Lake of Law, and even cause such a big commotion. They all did not care, and began to use their primordial spirit to devour the power of law. Want to fight with me? Heh. Let's see who's stronger. At the bottom of the Lake of Laws, Ling Xiao's eyes flickered with cold light. He could sense that the successor of the war god Hall was the strongest of them all. With the 3,000 chaotic worlds, and the sacred body of primal chaos, he was making a move on the entire Lake of Laws. Without any hesitation, Ling Xiao drew on the wordless heavenly tome and the heaven devourer cauldron. The two precious treasures floated above Ling Xiao's head, shining with dazzling light. They were like two terrifying vortexes that began seizing the power of laws in the hands of the successor of the war god Hall. The Lake of Laws grew more and more violent, almost like a stormy sea. Waves surged as the power of laws filled the sky, causing all sorts of strange phenomena to appear. Flames burned the sky, primal chaos lightning shattered the starry sky, primal chaos green lotuses rose from the blue sea, and suns illuminated the 3,000 worlds in the darkness. Everyone was using various methods to seize the power of laws in the Lake of Laws. Meanwhile, in the heavenly palace in the flowing time god Hall, the god general of time slowly opened his eyes, which shone with dazzling light. The wordless heavenly book, it really is the wordless heavenly book. Looks like I wasn't wrong. It's just that this burden is too heavy. I'm afraid you won't be able to bear it. The god general of time sighed as his faint voice echoed throughout the palace. Since that's the case, let me lend you a hand. The god general of time muttered to himself. His eyes flashed as he formed a seal with both hands. A mysterious light pierced through the void around him, and headed for the Lake of Laws. Rumble. The Lake of Law seemed to have exploded. Endless primal chaos mist rose, and the incomparably violent power of law surged towards Ling Xiao. Under the refinement of the power of laws, countless mysterious lines were branded on Ling Xiao's flesh. After fusing with a large amount of life essence, they instantly condensed into a brand new body. Ling Xiao's body was sparkling and flawless. His vitality was monstrous, but it was also filled with a layer of primal chaos light. It was as if countless laws of the world were intertwining on his body, making him seem even more mysterious. A gleam of light flashed through Ling Xiao's eyes. He could sense that an external force had helped him earlier, allowing him to devour and refine a large amount of the power of laws in an instant. Otherwise, with Ling Xiao's strength, it would have been impossible for his body to undergo such a powerful transformation in 24 hours. Chapter 833. However, while Ling Xiao was devouring the power of laws, the people outside the Lake of Laws were in trouble. The power of laws in the Lake of Laws was rapidly decreasing. Originally, many geniuses had rapidly increased their comprehension of the laws of heaven and earth. They had already locked onto the fish of perfect laws, and were about to pull them out. However, Ling Xiao's action caused the entire Lake of Laws to fluctuate violently. Many geniuses instantly lost their sense of the fish of laws. Bastard, what's going on? It must be Ling Xiao's doing. What is he trying to do? Is he trying to stop all of us from passing the stage? No, time is almost up. Everyone, hurry up and settle the score with Ling Xiao after we pass. Many geniuses revealed furious expressions. Some even directly attributed the huge change in the Lake of Laws to Ling Xiao. After all, only Ling Xiao had jumped into the Lake of Laws. The 24-hour time limit was almost up. The successor of the War God Temple, Buddhist Kasayapa, Emperor Qing, Zhao Ritian, and the others all used the power of their primordial spirits to pull out countless fish of perfect laws. Duan Wuji and Murong Xiantian were very unlucky. The fish of laws that their primordial spirits had sensed all slipped away. In the end, they barely managed to catch a fish of perfect laws with the help of the successor of the War God Temple. According to the normal process, at least 1,000 people should have passed the second stage and caught a fish of perfect laws. However, because of Ling Xiao's interference, only 500 or so people managed to catch a fish of perfect laws. Those who were about to be eliminated were all furious and vented their anger on Ling Xiao. You trash! You're incompetent and you dare to blame my cousin? If he had the ability to disturb the Lake of Laws, he would have eliminated all of you long ago. You must know that the War God Temple is hosting the Heaven's Choice Convention. Even if someone is causing trouble, the War God Temple is the most suspicious. Why don't you have the guts to look for that person? Long Outyan sneered as his gaze fell on the successor of the War God Temple. Everyone's expression froze. Although the Heaven's Choice Convention was hosted by the War God Temple, many people still thought that Ling Xiao was the most suspicious. After all, nothing had happened before Ling Xiao jumped into the Lake of Laws. However, something had happened after he jumped into the Lake of Laws. Everyone, I think Ling Xiao is definitely behind this. He's a piece of trash himself, so he must be unwilling to let his Yuan spirit radiate out. Later, when we meet the Divine General of Time, we should all work together and have the Divine General of Time kill him. Duan Wuji sneered. That's right. Ling Xiao is the most suspicious. He's the one who disrupted the order of the Heavenly Selection Convention. Damn it. Murong Xuantian's eyes flashed with a cold glint. Rumble. Just as everyone was filled with righteous indignation, the Lake of Law shone dazzlingly. The lake water parted to the sides, and Ling Xiao held a 3-meter-long red fish in his palm, slowly walking out of the Lake of Law. At this moment, Ling Xiao's aura was different. His entire body was flawless, and his primordial spirit was extremely pure. It was as if he could pass through the tribulation of the 4 symbols at any time if he wanted to. Ling Xiao actually caught a fish with perfected laws of nature. Everyone was dumbfounded. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Ling Xiao's primordial spirit radiated out 3 meters. He was simply a piece of trash among trash. Everyone thought that he would definitely be eliminated, but he actually walked out of the Lake of Law just like that. The fish with perfected laws in his hand looked so dazzling. especially Duan Wuji and Murong Xiantian. Their faces instantly became extremely gloomy. It was as if their parents had died. This meant that Ling Xiao had passed the second stage of the Lake of Law, and Duan Wuji had completely lost. However, the geniuses who hadn't caught a fish with perfected laws immediately looked unfriendly. Ling Xiao, are you messing with us? Are you the one who caused the great change in the Lake of Law? Why are you stopping everyone from passing? Ling Xiao, your intentions are too sinister. Do you think that you'll be able to reach the end after eliminating so many competitors? With a piece of trash like you, even if you're lucky enough to pass the second stage, you'll definitely be eliminated in the third stage. Ling Xiao, you have to give us an explanation. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite. Everyone walked toward Ling Xiao with righteous indignation. Each of them exuded an incomparably powerful aura, as if they would attack Ling Xiao at any moment. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, a trace of mockery in his eyes. Ling Xiao, you still have the face to smile? If you weren't despicable and shameless, how could so many people have been eliminated? Ling Xiao, you can't atone for your sins even if you die 100 times. Duan Wuji pointed at Ling Xiao and scolded him righteously. Trash. Ling Xiao said indifferently. This word immediately angered everyone. A young genius looked at Ling Xiao and questioned. Bastard, who are you calling trash? Ling Xiao glanced at everyone and said indifferently, sorry, I didn't make it clear. I said that you're all trash. You don't have the ability to catch fish, so you blame others? Why were they able to catch fish and pass the stage? You can't do it, so I can only say that you're trash. And you, Duan Wuji, if I'm not wrong, you've already lost this bet, right? You still have the face to shout here? Big idiot. Ling Xiao emphasized the last 3 words, causing Duan Wuji's face to turn red like a pig's liver. He looked at Ling Xiao with eyes full of hatred. Furthermore, Ling Xiao's statement that they were all trash made everyone explode with anger. Arrogant, too arrogant. Ling Xiao, you're too arrogant. Do you really think you can deal with so many of us by yourself? Why are you still wasting words with him? Let's kill Ling Xiao together. Everyone's eyes were filled with anger, and they looked at Ling Xiao with murderous intent. My cousin is right. You're all trash. You don't have the ability to pass the stage, and you still have the face to blame others? If it were me, I would have killed myself already. How shameless. Long Outyin, Taoist Wu Liang, and the others stepped forward with vigilant expressions and sneered at the crowd. In the distance, the successor of the war god shrine, Buddhist monk Kasayapa, and the others all looked on coldly. They didn't care about what was happening here, and they were still making use of the remaining time to refine the power of laws. The Lake of Laws was an unparalleled opportunity. Cultivating here for a day was equivalent to cultivating for 100 years in the outside world. It was laughable that these so-called geniuses had missed such a great opportunity because of personal feelings, just as a conflict was about to erupt. However, the time to pass the Lake of Laws was up. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Chapter 834. The light in front of everyone's eyes changed, and they appeared in the palace of the second layer of heaven. The god of time also appeared in front of everyone. Congratulations to everyone for passing the second layer of the Lake of Law. There are a total of 537 people who passed the second layer. You have 2 hours to rest, and then you will proceed to the third layer. The god of time glanced at everyone and said. As soon as the god of time finished speaking, Duan Wuji jumped out and said, Lord God of Time, Ling Xiao deliberately destroyed the Lake of Law and caused many people to be eliminated. This is a heinous crime. He simply doesn't put you in his eyes. Lord God of Time, please kill Ling Xiao as a warning to others. That's right, Lord God of Time. I can also testify that if it wasn't for Ling Xiao, even more people would have passed the second layer. Ling Xiao has sinister intentions and is despicable and shameless. He truly deserves to be killed. Murong Xuantian's eyes flashed with a cold light as he said indifferently. Long Outyin laughed anxiously and suddenly sneered. He pointed at Duan Wuji's nose and said, Duan Wuji, you despicable and shameless thing. You're really the first to complain. What evidence do you have to prove that my cousin destroyed the Lake of Law? Lord God of Time didn't say anything. Who do you think you are? You dare to make a decision for Lord God of Time? Taoist Wuliang also glanced at Duan Wuji and sneered. Duan Wuji, do you need me to remind you? You've already lost our bet. Now, in front of Lord God of Time, can you fulfill the bet? If Duan Wuji really knelt down and shouted, I'm a big idiot 3 times, he would probably become the laughingstock of the entire war god continent. Even Kunlun Mountain would be humiliated because of him. This would become the shame of Duan Wuji's life. Duan Wuji's face suddenly became extremely ugly. He was afraid that Taoist Wuliang would mention the bet, so he jumped out first to complain. In the end, Taoist Wuliang still said it. Duan Wuji coldly snorted and didn't say anything. Everyone looked at the god of time, wanting to see how he would deal with this. If the god of time really got angry and killed Ling Xiao, then the people who were with Ling Xiao would probably end up in an extremely ugly state. The god of time looked very calm. His expression couldn't be seen, but his eyes were incomparably indifferent, as if there were no fluctuations of emotion. Right at this moment, the successor of the war god Hall stepped forward. Lord Divine General, I can testify for Duan Wuji. Ling Xiao has indeed broken the order of the Lake of Laws, causing many people to be eliminated early. The successor of the war god temple said indifferently. Everyone's expression changed slightly. The successor of the war god temple wanted to kill Ling Xiao. After all, the Time General was a member of the war god temple. Needless to say, he would help the successor of the war god temple. In that case, wouldn't Ling Xiao have no chance at all? At this moment, the Time General spoke faintly. The Lake of Law has not been disturbed by anyone. This is a scene that will inevitably appear when you are comprehending the laws of heaven and earth. As soon as the Time General spoke, everyone was stunned. What did the Time General mean by this? He was actually helping Ling Xiao? The successor of the war god Hall took a deep look at the Divine General of Time, but didn't say anything. Therefore, Ling Xiao did not destroy the order of the Lake of Law. The Time General slowly said, "Ha! I knew it. The Divine General is in charge of the Heavenly Selection Assembly. He knows the situation of every stage. Is there a need for you to tell him? Duan Wuji, what else do you have to say? Hurry up and fulfill the bet. The Divine General is the witness. Don't tell me you want to go back on your word." Long Outyin guffawed and glanced at Duan Wuji. Duan Wuji's expression instantly turned incomparably unsightly. At this moment, even Morong Xiantian didn't dare speak. He could also see that the Time General was clearly helping Ling Xiao. What he didn't understand was that the Time General had chosen to help Ling Xiao even though the successor of the War God Temple had spoken. What was going on? Many people sensed that something was amiss, and wisely chose to remain silent. Divine General Duan Wuji didn't want to give up. He wanted to say something, but the Divine General of Time interrupted him. Duan Wuji, fulfill the bet. A powerful and terrifying aura emanated from the Time General's body and pressed down on Duan Wuji. It seemed that if Duan Wuji dared to refuse, the Time General would attack him in the next moment. Duan Wuji was extremely unwilling, and his eyes were filled with resentment and humiliation. However, he knew that he was riding a tiger and couldn't get off. He couldn't go back on his word even if he wanted to. All right. I, Duan Wuji, am a man of my word. I will fulfill the bet. Duan Wuji glared at Ling Xiao, Taoist Wuliang, and Long Outyin and directly knelt down with a thump. I'm a big idiot. I'm a big idiot. I'm a big idiot. Duan Wuji clenched his teeth and shouted 3 times in a row. His face was as red as a pig's liver and his hatred for Ling Xiao, Taoist Wuliang, and Long Outyin had reached its peak. You really know your place. Scram. Long Outyin sneered. He didn't care about the hatred in Duan Wuji's eyes at all. Duan Wuji was completely silent. His entire body exuded an incomparably cold aura as he stood to the side without saying a word. Everyone's eyes were filled with shock, and the way they looked at Ling Xiao changed. Although the Divine General of Time said that the matter of the Lake of Laws had nothing to do with Ling Xiao, they weren't fools. They all faintly felt that the matter of the Lake of Laws had something to do with Ling Xiao. However, the Divine General of Time was so biased towards Ling Xiao, which made them feel that something was wrong. 2 hours quickly passed. Rumble. The gate of the third layer of heaven opened, and everyone turned into streams of light, and flew towards the third layer of heaven. Light shone in front of them, and everyone appeared on an ancient battle platform. The third stage, Enlightenment Platform. On the Enlightenment Platform, there were many kinds of martial arts light balls. Everyone's original martial arts would be sealed. They could only comprehend new martial arts light balls from the Enlightenment Platform, and then cultivate on the Enlightenment Platform. The Enlightenment Platform would condense a martial arts clone of the same level as the cultivator. If the cultivator could use the new martial arts and defeat the martial arts clone within a year, they would pass the stage. Everyone had 3 chances. If they failed all 3 chances or couldn't complete it within a year, they would be eliminated. The Enlightenment Platform? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. This Enlightenment Platform was pretty interesting. One had to rely entirely on one's affinity with martial arts to sense martial arts. Then one had to cultivate to the great perfection realm within a year, and defeat the martial arts doppelganger. Countless resplendent light balls floated in front of Ling Zhao. Each light ball represented a powerful martial art. Ling Zhao could feel that his cultivation was being restrained by the power of laws. Chapter 835. Within those light balls, there were powerful ancient martial arts. There was no lack of paragon martial arts and even divine martial arts. The martial arts that were comprehended on the Enlightenment Platform would eventually become a part of one's strength. If one chose a weaker martial art, they would be able to pass this stage. However, in the face of so many powerful martial arts, many people would be unwilling to give up. Therefore, this stage not only tested one's comprehension, but also the wisdom of one's choice. A year's time wasn't short, but it wasn't long either. Especially for those powerful paragon martial arts, it would take years or even decades to cultivate them to perfection. Not to mention the divine martial arts. If one didn't know enough about himself and chose a powerful divine martial art, if he couldn't cultivate it to perfection within a year, not only would he be eliminated, he wouldn't be able to take this martial art away. Only by cultivating a martial art to perfection could it become a part of one's strength. Ling Zhao's primordial spirit entered the light balls of martial arts above his head. Mysterious and powerful martial arts appeared before him. Great Sun Immemorial Scripture, Chaotic Heaven Opening Palm, Aurora Sword Scripture, Sky Origin Godly Sword, Buddha's Palm. Ling Zhao could see that the light balls of martial arts were densely packed. There were more than tens of thousands of powerful martial arts. Among them, the weakest was a heaven-class martial art. They were like stars in the sky, bright and dazzling. There were tens of thousands of them. As for the paragon martial arts, they were like a bright full moon. There were a total of 3,000 paragon martial arts. Above the paragon martial arts, there were 108 divine martial arts. For example, the Great Sun Immemorial Scripture, Chaotic Heaven Opening Palm, Buddha's Palm, etc. They were all divine martial arts. What is that? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. Above the God-tier martial arts, there were actually 3 resplendent balls of light. They were even more resplendent than the sun, emitting an incomparably mysterious fluctuation. The mysterious fluctuation was even more powerful than the divine martial arts. Aries art, menstruation, reverse fate art. These 3 great martial arts emitted a mysterious and eternal energy fluctuation. It was boundless and made people tremble all over when they saw it. They knew that these 3 great martial arts were definitely supreme martial arts that could penetrate the heavens and penetrate the earth. Aries art, could it be the martial arts cultivated by the Scarlet Dragon War God? And menstruation, it's related to the aura of the divine general of time. Could it contain the mystery of time? And the art of reversing fate? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed with a sharp light. The Aries secret art exuded an unparalleled battle intent. It was a type of invincible battle intent that could break through the heavens and shatter the heavens. As for sway menstruation, it contained the concept of the flow of time, as if it contained the endless secrets of time. As for the life-reversing technique, it gave Ling Zhao a very strange feeling. The life-reversing technique exuded a very profound fluctuation, which seemed to be related to the secret techniques of fate, But it was also not quite the same. For some reason, when Ling Xiao first saw the life-reversing technique, a voice in his heart told him to choose the life-reversing technique. He had to choose the life-reversing technique. If one wanted to pass the trial, choosing a heaven-class martial art was the safest choice. 1 year was enough to cultivate a heaven-class martial art to perfection. As for some of the top geniuses, they would definitely not be willing to choose a heaven-class martial art. Instead, they would choose a sovereign martial art. As long as their comprehension was strong enough, they would be able to cultivate it to perfection within a year. As for a god-class martial art, it was basically impossible to cultivate it to perfection within a year. Most people would probably not choose a god-class martial art. As for the Aries secret art, sway menstruation, and life-reversing technique, which surpassed a god-class martial art, it was needless to say. This was because in the third trial, if one could not cultivate the martial art to perfection within a year, their memory of that martial art would be completely erased. Hence, if one was greedy, it was very likely that they would not be able to obtain anything in the end. Ling Xiao guessed that most people would probably choose a sovereign martial art. As for a god-class martial art, almost no one would choose it. However, people like the successor of the Aries Shrine, Buddha Kasyapa, Emperor Qing, Zhao Ritian, and the others might choose a god-class martial art. Life-reversing technique? Then it's you. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. In the end, he decided to listen to his heart and choose the life-reversing technique. Ling Xiao had already obtained the secret techniques of fate. Perhaps it would be helpful when he cultivated the life-reversing technique. Buzz. With the guidance of Ling Zhao's primordial spirit, the ball of resplendent life-reversing technique light instantly turned into a stream of light and merged into Ling Zhao's sea of consciousness. A mysterious scripture appeared in front of Ling Xiao. Mysterious lines of fate intertwined as if they had turned into a resplendent divine glow. It made one feel as if they could not help but be immersed in it. Life reverser, reverse samsara, step on the heavens, shatter yin and yang, return to chaos, burn your life, shatter your fate. The mysterious scripture appeared in Ling Zhao's mind in a very strange way. As the saying went, the human Tao was tangible, but the heavenly Tao was intangible. A person's fate was even more illusory and untouchable. Those who cultivated the life-reversing technique could be called life reversers. They used extremely strange methods to directly attack a person's fate. They could even burn their own life to borrow unparalleled power from the long river of fate. Ling Xiao had never heard of a method that directly attacked one's fate. It was too strange and mysterious. After all, a person's physical body and primordial spirit were traceable. When the physical body was destroyed and the primordial spirit was destroyed, the living being would turn into ashes. As for what fate was, perhaps even the gods might not be able to answer. The life-reversing technique was indeed extremely strange. Moreover, Ling Zhao's cultivation of the life-reversing technique was surprisingly smooth. There were no obstacles at all. It was as if every time he encountered a bottleneck, the secret technique of fate would help him resolve it. However, the secret technique of fate was completely different from the life-reversing technique. The secret technique of fate was to grasp the trajectory of fate and experience the power of fate. It was to search for the evolution of the long river of fate. In essence, it was a technique of following fate. On the other hand, the life-reversing technique was to reverse fate and shatter fate. It could even use the power of the long river of fate to erupt with all kinds of unbelievable power. In the process of Ling Xiao practicing the life-reversing technique, he also gained a deeper understanding of the secret technique of fate. Time passed by minute. Ling Xiao was immersed in this state of cultivation, as if he had forgotten everything. The enlightenment platform shone brightly, as if it had turned into a chaotic world that enveloped Ling Xiao. Apart from Ling Xiao, the others also began to cultivate on the enlightenment platform. The successor of the war god Hall chose the primal chaos heaven opening palm, which was the most compatible with his chaotic sacred body. While he was practicing this supreme technique, primal chaos chi lingered around him. Numerous primal chaos palm prints condensed and evolved into mysterious scenes of the world in the primal chaos. Buddhist Kasyapa chose the Buddha's palm. He sat cross-legged in the void like an eternal Buddha. He emitted billions of Buddhist light, illuminating the boundless world. Zhao Ritian chose the Great Sun Immemorial Scripture because he felt that the Great Sun Immemorial Scripture was similar to the Sun Destruction Scripture that he cultivated. It was as if they came from the same source. The combination of the two allowed his cultivation speed to increase by leaps and bounds. Chapter 836. Of course, there were also those who didn't have a strong mental state and chose a heaven-class martial art, hoping to pass the trial in one go. There were also those who overestimated their strength and chose a god-class martial art, wasting their time for no reason. Just as everyone was working hard in the Flowing Time Shrine, cultivating their martial arts. War God Continent. There was a bronze shrine hidden in the chaos. Endless chaos chi filled the air, emitting an ancient and mysterious aura. Kacha. The void seemed to have been torn apart as two terrifying figures, one white and one black, stepped out from the 9 heavens. They seemed to be 2 old men. They emitted a ripple that caused the world to tremble. Within the bronze shrine, dozens of figures with powerful auras flew out at the same time. They bowed respectfully towards the 2 figures, their eyes filled with passion. Subordinate greets Left Reverend and Right Reverend. His loud and clear voice dispersed the surrounding chaotic mist. Rise. Above the 9 heavens, the black-robed old man said indifferently, his eyes filled with a bright light. The 8th Heaven Tao Primal Chaos Tablet has appeared, and Lord War God has already gone to retrieve the 9th Heaven Tao Primal Chaos Tablet. There's a change in the time cave. This time, the inheritor of Scarlet Dragon War God is about to appear. Everyone, let's set up the Dazhou Tian God sealing array and seal the time cave. If Magnificent Sect becomes the inheritor, then so be it. If anyone else becomes the inheritor, kill them all without mercy. The black-robed old man's voice was cold and filled with killing intent. Yes. Dozens of powerful figures said respectfully at the same time. The white-robed old man said indifferently, everyone is the elites of my War God Shrine. This time, with the 9 Heaven Tao Primal Chaos Tablets gathered, the door to the God world will open. Everyone will be able to enter the God world and obtain immortality. The Scarlet Dragon War God's inheritance can only be obtained by Magnificent Sect. Everyone, do you understand? Thank you, Lord Right Reverend, for reminding us. We understand. This time, we'll let them know the strength of my War God Shrine. At the front of the crowd, a figure in a green dragon robe said indifferently, his eyes filled with a bright light. What should we do with the Divine General of Time? A woman in a crimson robe asked hesitantly. The black-robed old man, who was the Left Holy Venerate, was surrounded by terrifying thunderbolts. His eyes were filled with murderous intent as he said faintly, sins committed by the heavens can be forgiven, but sins committed by oneself cannot be forgiven. Yes. Everyone's expression turned solemn as they lowered their heads respectfully. Let's go. The white-robed elder, the Right Holy Master, glanced at the crowd and waved his sleeve. Suddenly, the sky shattered and dozens of powerhouses flew in with the 2 holy masters. Outside the time cave, many experts who participated in the Heavenly Choice Convention left the Flowing Time Temple in advance after being eliminated. They even left the time cave. When the news of what had happened in the time cave spread out, the many martial Tao Holy Lands waiting outside almost boiled with excitement. This was especially true for the thousands of geniuses who were eliminated in the 2nd stage. Many of them were incomparably furious, thinking that it was Ling Xiao who messed up the Lake of Law, causing them to be eliminated early. Many martial Tao Holy Lands sovereigns were furious, and some even went to find Long Lai to reason with him. In the end, they were beaten up and thrown out by Long Lai. After that, no one dared to say anything. The most furious person was Kunlun Mountain's Vice Sect Master, Outer Space. The news of the bet between Kunlun Mountain's eldest disciple, Duan Wuji, and Ling Xiao was also spread. In the end, Duan Wuji lost and knelt on the ground while shouting, "I'm a big idiot," 3 times. It was simply a disgrace to Kunlun Mountain, and they became the laughingstock of many martial Tao Holy Lands. However, Outer Space's cultivation was only at the 9th level Supreme Realm, and he did not dare to ask Long Lai for an explanation. Instead, he was invited by Star Emperor, the master of Star Palace. That night, Star Palace, Emperor Tomb Mountain, Sky Demon Palace, Nantian family, Kunlun Mountain, and dozens of other martial Dao Holy Lands who were hostile to Ling Xiao gathered together to discuss something. Because of the matter in the time cave, undercurrents suddenly surged. Long Lai, who was originally sitting cross-legged outside the time cave, slowly opened his eyes and revealed a trace of light. He muttered to himself, secretly plotting against Ling Xiao. Do you really think I don't know? Since you want to play, I'll play with you. Long Lai gathered experts from Blazing Mountain, Shilua Sect, Sword God Pavilion, Dugu Family, Moon Palace, and other martial Dao Holy Lands and secretly joined forces. In the time cave, a year passed very quickly. Ling Xiao originally thought that the life-reversing skill was extremely difficult to cultivate. However, after combining it with the secret skill of destiny, he discovered that the life-reversing skill was very smooth. In less than a year, Ling Xiao had comprehended to the complete realm. Although the life-reversing skill was very strange, it was actually far less profound than the secret skill of destiny. In summary, the life-reversing skill only had 3 moves: Shatter Fate, Burn Life, and Defy Fate. The so-called Shatter Fate was to use one's own fate to condense murderous intent and directly attack the enemy's fate. Once the fate was shattered, it would directly vanish into thin air and the entire person would be obliterated. Burn Life was to burn one's own life and release 10 or 100 times the power to attack the enemy's fate. The more life one burned, the stronger the power that would erupt. Defy Fate was to use one's own fate to forcefully reverse the river of fate. It possessed unfathomable power that could destroy the heavens and earth. It wasn't until he cultivated the life-reversing skill that Ling Xiao realized how terrifying this martial art was. It directly attacked one's fate, and its methods were extremely strange. Perhaps even a powerful supreme being would be killed by Ling Xiao if they weren't prepared. In terms of lethality and strangeness, the life-reversing skill could be said to be the most powerful martial art that Ling Xiao currently possessed. Although the 7 Limits Divine Art and the Myriad Dragons God-slaying skill were also very terrifying, supreme being experts could defend against them if they had powerful means. As for the life-reversing skill, even if one wanted to defend against it, they wouldn't know how to do so. This life-reversing skill can be used as a last resort. It can kill 1,000 people and harm 800 of my own. I can't use it lightly unless it's a critical moment. Ling Xiao's eyes flickered. Using the life-reversing skill wasn't without restrictions. It was based on one's own fate to condense a supreme murderous intent. If Ling Xiao used it without restraint, it wouldn't be long before his fate was exhausted, and he would die completely. I choose to challenge, Ling Xiao said in his heart. Suddenly, the enlightenment platform in front of him flickered, and a mysterious figure appeared in front of him. It was a very ordinary-looking middle-aged man. He wore a long robe and his eyes were calm. There seemed to be no fluctuations of cultivation around him. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.